Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
You've already dadded.
No, I didn't.
Guess what?
What? I still haven't ordered mine. I'm very happy for you. I'm very jealous. I don't have
Hot dads.
I don't have merch for my own podcast that I co-host. Let me tell you a boring story. You son of a bitch. It's actually so boring, and I'm realizing it that I'm gonna say it's gonna be real quick.
I heard the second pause where you were like, maybe.
Yeah. No, it's just this. My current bank card got 86 for whatever reason. They deactivated it. I went in to
Was
get
my
a new
fault.
one.
I did that to you.
You did that. I went in. I was like, hey, can I get a new one? They were like, we can't print it because we can't verify your phone number. I'm like, I'm standing right here, but okay. Just send it to me. And they're like, do you want to take out cash? And I said no, because I was like, I have everything I need for like a week, so there's no need to do that. And now there's all these things happening that I'd really like to spend money on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it'd be what it do. I should be getting that card in the mail in another day or two, and then I'm back in it. I'm
back, baby.
Back in 2022.
So are you not gonna be able to buy Ragnarok?
I don't think so, but here's the thing: like the night they told me 3 to 5 business days, and I think that was Thursday, so it's possible. But I feel like anytime I get a range, I always go, it's the furthest end of that range, especially for like a bank or Comcast or anything like that.
You're like max +1. That's me.
Yeah. But I realized that it comes out on my Ragnarok comes out on my homework night anyway, and I don't want to start pushing that around. That's when things just start to get dicey, and then I'm like, I can wait until the last day to do all my homework. So, kind of works out anyway.
Okay, so you're okay with this? Then.
I think I am. Yeah. Once you start talking about it, I'm going to be like, fuck. But like for the time being, I'm okay being a day or two late.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's not that cool.
No.
Well,
you know me, self-identified best friend ever. I was like, oh, that sucks. Maybe I'll give it to him and he can just pay me back. But if you're okay with it, then I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, don't do it if I'm comfortable with it.
Fuck that. Before we get too deep into it, we're taking a quick trip to Cincinnati. Sure, that works. Whatever. Shill City, Shillville. Okay, already ruining it. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all those fun things at The Cynical Nerd, and now it's also our YouTube channel handle.
Mm-hmm.
They've given out channel handles, much like a Twitter handle. So now it's youtube.com/@TheCynicalNerd. Just like everything else, now it falls in line. We've got merch up. We've got cool shirts. I'm going to add up some more this week. I think I just got to figure out which designs.
Yeah.
We've got mugs. We've got all kinds of fucking stuff going on. And, I think that's, we just did part 2 of Dead Space 3. It's up on our YouTube channel. We tell, I want to self-aggrandize a little bit. We tell a particularly funny joke towards the end.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you exactly where, so you actually have to watch the whole thing to find it.
You have to sit through it. Yeah. Hope it's worth it.
Yeah, I've been having a great time playing.
So have I. It's one of those games that's like, I feel like if I was playing solo, I'd be like, eh. But the fact that like you're playing with a buddy and you're enduring some of these like a little choppy, it's showing its age a little bit, but like those kind of things add to like it becomes endearing when you're doing it with a friend. But it really has been a good time. We're streaming it live on our individual channels Saturday nights around 9, soft 9. At Dr. Gloom MD and of course at TCN Plays. So come hang out live
thank you.
Watch the YouTube
or check it out afterwards. And we'll both be in the same frame. It'll be super fun.
Yes.
It's one thing I wish we could do on Twitch, but it's okay because we could just make it happen on YouTube afterwards, and give it to you later. I like you keep saying like showing its age or whatever, and I find every time you take like a piss break or like a turnaround to get the baseball score break, which I know won't happen anymore because they lost.
Now,
I find myself just ragging on the textures of the game because like our character models look great, but as soon as I turn to a wall and there's text, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that looks bad. And then I'm like, it's from 2013. It's like literally like a decade old. I can't talk that much shit on it. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We have a decent amount of week in review. I would say just a few trailers, not too many. But because we were off last week, we have a bunch of main topics. We have a main topic we didn't even expect to have as a main topic, which was Tales of the Jedi. I think we were gonna do that like later, and then because it came out, we ended up watching one, and then we both watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which should probably
like
tell
in
you
almost one sitting. Yeah.
yeah, we should probably tell you a little bit about how we felt about it. You're also watching Rebels, which I want to talk about slightly.
So do I.
And drum roll, please. I'm not going to remember to clip that in later. I beat Death Stranding finally.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to suggest, because we both have like video game stuff. I figured we could keep it brief. I did Origins, which you already played, and you did Death Stranding. I figured before we start our regular thing, why don't we just do...
Let's do
our fucking campaign shit, dude.
And some of our week in review looks intimidating, but it's like
a lot of it's like lumped together.
It's like Damon Lindelof. Somebody's writing a Star Wars movie. Like it's all little tidbits. It's not big long story. So
little nibbles.
We'll try and keep it on the Dane train. Bert, before we begin, welcome to the Cynical Nerd. I'm gonna shy away from doing welcome. Here's why. I told you before.
Yeah.
John Oliver does it on Last Week Tonight.
Oh.
And it's kind of like his intro.
I feel like you've been lying to me this whole time now, 2 years in.
No.
Now I'm like, wow.
I'll find the fucking episode. I told you and Scott back in the day, I was like, John Oliver does it.
Right.
I didn't do it to copy him. It just felt natural. And then you guys were like, oh, well, that's your thing. And I'm like, well,
I played into it because I really liked it. So I'm partially at fault here too.
I'm going to have to think of another timeless intro. It's no big deal. You know, they come up like
every single episode.
This is episode 80 motherfucking 5. We're 15 from the big one. Okay. Assuming we actually get through this without dying because of all the stuff we have to talk about. Would you like to talk about Origins first?
I do, because I have like a ravenous anticipation to hear what your final thought. And we also had that bet about if it made you cry or if it did not. And so I just want to I want to enjoy the cum power that's building inside of me. So I'm going to go first. I also have very brief thoughts. It's a game that came out a lot further back than Death Stranding did. So this is Arkham Knight's Origins, or Arkham, what did I say? Batman Arkham Origins, rather, it's called.
There you
go. So the second most recent in the Arkham games, beloved franchise, not done by Rocksteady Studios, if I'm correct. I think it was like WB Montreal.
Yeah. Same ones that made Gotham Knights.
Right. And I got to tell you, when it came out, I had heard pretty negative things about this game. I had heard that it didn't expand on the other ones like at all as far as gameplay elements and stuff like that.
Which it doesn't.
So,
really.
And it doesn't, and that's totally fair. And so I never played it back then. I just figured, why? Like, what's the point? It's not getting very good reviews. And for the time that it came out, that is a totally fair criticism. Like, if you're building a franchise and you're doing new installments, you should expand on them each time in some way. And they didn't. So at the time, totally fair criticism. I can't recommend enough now that it's like a game from the past and it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Like, if you're playing it by itself, I can't recommend to people enough to play that game. It had a really incredible story, like really, really touching story parts in that game. I know we already talked about it. There's the part where like Alfred is dying and he's in Bruce's arms and all Alfred can say is like, don't add me to the weight you carry or something like that. Just like, just beautiful, beautiful writing. Boss fights were incredible. I even liked the setting, the like pre-Christmas thing. It made me think kind of like Die Hard. I don't know. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
I really don't have much to say beyond that.
Little Batman Returns.
Right. I feel like most of the people played it and were disappointed by it at the time. But I recommend, if you skipped it for the same reason that I did, that you should go back and play it. And even if you played it then, go back and play it. Because now you're not like comparing it to the previous game or the one that followed. It's just its own thing now. It came out like, 6-7 years ago, more than. I think enough time has passed that you can look at it a little more like objectively. Huge recommend. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, no question. Very, very good game.
Even, I would arguably say, even with the spoiler alert for a super old game at this point, with Joker being in the plot. And, you know, when it first happens, you kind of eye roll because he always gets brought in. But they do it in this cool way where it's kind of like their first encounter together. And you have this really cool like little mini arc where he goes from just looking at Batman as like another annoyance to being like incredibly obsessed and fascinated with him. And almost like falling in love with him, kind of. And there's the really cool scene where he's speaking to Dr. Harley Quinzel, who later becomes Harley Quinn, who she's like falling for him while they're talking, and she thinks he's talking about her, but he's talking about Batman. And it was really well done in that way.
It was super well done. I agree.
And I said to you, I was like, well, they don't have Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, which is a bummer because those guys are iconic, but I actually like the guy who does Batman. He does a pretty serviceable job.
It didn't bother me at all. Neither of them, frankly.
No, yeah.
I was fine with both of them.
So I have a little bit of the same, but a little bit of not the same with the Arkham stuff. So I replayed Arkham Origins with Derek, and then I was like, fuck, this just makes me want to replay Arkham Knight. And I did. And I got to tell you, that game is just astonishing. Like going back, and it's the thing, it kind of like sets you go, oh yeah, Arkham Origins was great. They didn't really add anything, and it wasn't Rocksteady, but that's okay. And then I play Arkham Knight, and I go, oh my god, like this is why it was Rocksteady's franchise.
Yeah.
And the Batmobile stuff, I even have found myself liking this time around because they weave it in through the story so much. I don't want to talk about story beats. I know that you never beat it, but I'm fucking loving my revisit to Arkham Knight. I'm loving it.
It's funny you say that because like there was sort of a couple years where the free flow combat thing started with Arkham Asylum, became like a big thing. Like you had Shadows of Mordor was like in that same style, the Mad Max game that we talked about. So now that I've played Origins, I kind of have like a flavor for these games. Like I want to play more of them. And so the obvious thing is we'll go play Arkham Knight. But if I do that, the other ones are going to seem really shitty because it's like the apex. So it's like the absolute top of that style of game. So
combat is the free flow combat is like perfect in that one. I swear to Christ, it's so good. There was this one perfect example, and then I'll move on because we do have a lot of stuff to get to. One perfect example of this was a problem of contention for me in past games was they give you these big free flow combat combo scores as a mark of how well you did in combat. And there was also like separate challenges aside from the main game you could do. And I always did all of it because I was a super huge Batman fan. In previous games, you could get to a point in your free flow combat where your multiplier was high enough that you would like one punch a bunch of guys down and there would be nobody to hit.
Yeah.
So, and if you forgot to do like a ground pound takedown or something, you could just lose your combo. And that was kind of like, well, tough shit. And they added in this like no-brainer finesse of the combo system in Arkham Knight where you can pick up a guy who's just down and dazed to continue. You can pick him up yourself to continue your combat. And it's such a small example, but they added a bunch of stuff. There's gadgets while gliding in that one where you can throw batarangs while you're glide kicking in. And there's a ton of just like, oh, no shit, that makes perfect sense types of improvements to the formula. And it's just chef's kiss. Anyway, Death Stranding.
Let's do it.
You don't have to buy me a game, but I did not cry.
You didn't?
No.
Really?
I have to tell you, I have what I think is a decent analogy between the two of us. That I think will make sense to the people who have listened to the podcast before and know our opinions of this example I'm about to say, and also know that your love for Hideo Kojima. To me, Death Stranding is the same as Clerks 3.
Okay.
Except my opinions and previous exposures took my opinion the opposite way. I was so annoyed by the cutscenes by the end of that game that I could not fucking wait for it to be over. I was upset with it, and I'm sorry because I feel like I'm disappointing you. This game has a certain.
It's fine.
This game has something to it. It's the sauce. I don't know what the fuck it is. There's something in the moment-to-moment gameplay, even the jokes about it being one big, escort mission or something.
Walking simulator,
there's merit to that, but it's enjoyable to play. I liked doing deliveries. Like you were telling me, like beeline through the story. I found myself, I'm like, hey, if I'm heading that way, load me up, daddy. Let's go. I'll help this guy. I'll help the older guy in the mountains that doesn't trust me. And I'll help the engineers over here. And I've complained about this before when it comes to Hideo. And there's a dog having fun back there. I've complained about this before when it comes to Hideo. And by the end of the game, I was so annoyed. I have a couple examples. Now, it's been 2 weeks because we were off last week, but I think I still remember them. I bitched to you about this Heartman, where like I'm in this new zone and I see a heart-shaped lake, and I said, well, I bet Heartman's there, and I bet it's gonna have to do with his heart, and I bet they're gonna that kind of stuff drives me crazy, where they feel like they've done the super obvious thing, but they still feel the need to explain why they've done the super obvious thing. Here's an example of why the ending.
Did you see the meme? It was like, my name is Corn Dog Man. And he was like, so your name's Corn Dog Man? Yes. Is it because you like corn dogs? Let me explain. 15-minute cutscene. It was like every Kojima game. It's
so real. And here's an example of why I started to get really annoyed and antsy towards the end. I have two of them. One of them, the whole ending is cutscenes. Of course, it's a Kojima game. There's a scene where Die Hard Man is telling you, as the now president, very emotionally, how he had to kill your father, aka
Cliff Unger.
Cliff Unger. And how he had to do it, and how like he knew as a patriot that Cliff knew that he was doing it because he had to do it for America. But like that was his guy, and he pulled him out of the shit. Mm-hmm. The speech is actually not bad. He gets emotional. He's crying. The face models in that game are like A1
really good.
plus. Well, everything looks great. And I was like, okay, that scene was fine. Didn't bother. He's like on his knees. Never mind just the context of the president kneeling in front of you, crying, holding your hand, apologizing. It feels weird, but like it's a Kojima game, so you go with it. And then they showed it to me. They showed me the whole fucking flashback, the whole scene from start to finish. And I'm like, I know this happened. So either you don't show me the scene where he's crying, telling me the scene, and just show me the scene, or you show me the flashback and like greatly truncate the retelling of it by the. And I'm just like, I watched a 10-minute cutscene where he told me everything that happened, and then they showed me a 10-minute cutscene where everything happened, and I was like, I fucking hate this. Please move along. And then they did. And you know where they moved on to, Derek? They moved on to the beach, where they forced me to run in circles to progress the credits, so different little cutscenes would happen with Amelie, so that I could continue on further and remember that. And finish. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah. I remember. Here's. I'm not going to defend Death Stranding. First of all, I am going to buy you a game. That's been like a 2-year-long thing. Well, I'm not going to fall back.
Hang on. Here's what I will say before you jump back in: is you told me that you couldn't recommend this game to anybody, but that there was something about it that you really liked, and you thought that I would also really like it. I'm sorry that I didn't also really like it, but there is something, and I know what you mean.
Yeah, and
I also feel like I can't recommend it to people, but I do not regret my time playing it. Yeah. I'm glad that I finished it. Honestly, I understand the scene you're talking about is probably when I had to take BB to the incinerator, which was the sad boy part.
Well, but the flashback, the part that affected me most, and this is before I had a kid, before I had a son, is when he's protecting him. Yeah, that me and Veronica watched that. We were both stoned out of our minds. We were like sobbing. It was ridiculous. Way before Odin. Way before. And
he does have a really
his speech line is so fucking good.
I thought it made me more courageous or something.
Yeah, being a dad. I had it all wrong. Being a dad made me brave or something like that. There's another line he says. It's not really about being a father, but he says like, "Don't make my mistakes. Be yourself. Be free," or something. I always loved it. That's like right before he gets shot. It's like literally the last thing he says. I loved that scene. I know like Kojima beats things into the ground. I feel like he does. I'm not going to spend any longer than 20 seconds defending Kojima, but like he had Metal Gear Solid 4, which had super long cutscenes, and people said, "Holy shit, chill with the cutscenes." And then he went all gameplay with Metal Gear Solid 5, hardly any cutscenes, and people went, Well, where are the
True.
cutscenes? And then with Death Stranding, he put the cutscenes back, and people are like, well, the
It's our
cutscenes are
fault.
too long. Yeah, no, it's not. There's a balance there that he's not striking, but no, it feels like the interesting thing about Death Stranding to me is like the things that are already established gameplay mechanics are where that game doesn't work, which doesn't make sense because you should be able to knock those out of the park. It's like, lobbing at you. You like all my baseball analogies here now that we're right off the World Series? But the stuff that he did that was like kind of atypical, like just the walking around and like fucking setting up shit and like just like the whatever it was called, the like everybody could contribute to build a road. There was like this interconnected world. You kind of had a shared, like all that stuff was so fucking cool. But like whenever you were like doing a sneaking mission where like you're literally throwing your piss and shit at invisible monsters, I'm like, it's just not hitting. Though there's enough of that in there that, like I said, to this day, I will not recommend it. I'm so glad I played it. I think it's one of the most different games I've ever played. It's almost like an indie developer got a AAA budget, and I think that's why it's just like cool to see how that turns out. However, I am a man of my word, and I will buy you a game. I won't be able to sleep if you. I mean, I could just gift you something on Steam. It's as simple as that. But anyway,
that's true.
I'm glad you finished it. Secondary question: are you still listening to Mistborn?
Yeah, I took a little break, but not because I was disinterested. I actually wanted to hear. It's not interesting, but I wanted to listen. There's a political podcast I listen to, and with a bunch of stuff that's been happening recently, I wanted to check it out. So the past couple car rides, I've been kind of catching up on the world of politics. But yeah, no, I am still listening.
Okay, great.
It's been like a week since I played it last, so I think I'm gonna be playing it tomorrow. But I didn't want to, and I did say I'm glad I played it. It's hard to recommend. You actually touched on some things that I had wanted to be positive about. So one of them was that there is a really good sense of satisfaction when you log on and they're like 70 players liked things that you made. One of the roads that you contributed to got completed by somebody. And that's a really interesting concept because at first the whole like social network thing felt really like, well, it is on the nose of the whole cufflinks looking like handcuffs. And, but the way that system works in game was very satisfying. It was very fun to do that. One of the scenes that I think rivals the end cutscenes as far as emotional stuff is when oh shit, what is her name? The girl that ends up dying but has the twin sister. It's not Lockney. Lockney's the other one.
Oh,
Mama.
Mama.
They call her Mama. Yeah. When you find out like that she had the baby, she died under the rubble, but she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That was the closest I came in the game to crying. And I know the scenes that you're talking about. And as I was watching them, I went, this is what Derek was like. I knew. I was like, this is what he thought. Because we all know I cry very easily. But I'll tell you why the ending was so frustrating to me. Remember when I told you via Facebook Messenger that I finished the game?
Yes.
I thought I had. And I thought I was on the final cutscene.
And so I was wondering because I did the same thing. I thought it was done. Nope. Tricked you. There's more.
And then I had to play through like 3 more hours, which I would say about 2 hours and 15 minutes were cutscenes. And I was like, I'm so ready for this. And it's one of the main drivers for why those scenes, I was just anxious. And I was like, just, okay, I fucking get it. It's sad. Bye. Like, let's wrap this up. Anyway, all right.
I also thought, very last point, I also thought the really cool concept and execution was like the shared beach for people who like died in war was like so fucking tragic to go. You see this like this combination between like Vietnam War shit, World War II shit, like Afghanistan war shit, just like wars across like over 100 years all mashed into one. And none of it seemed jarring or weird. It was like one single cohesive, just hellish nightmare scape.
It was also sad.
Very, very sad. Yeah.
No, there are a lot of good ideas nestled in that game. And I just, at the end of the day, I was just so frustrated with some of the tropes that he's famous for that I couldn't.
There's a big rumor that Mama's getting a spin-off game, and I'm kind of like, maybe we should just move on from Death Stranding. But he's like, Margaret Qualley is like in his employ right now, so he could just be using her again. Okay. He likes to stick with the same mocap and voice actors. Right. So, but anyway, I'm glad you finished it. I love you.
Yeah.
I love you so much.
I love you too. All right, we got to nail through some news. I grouped it by topics to make it as interesting as possible. This first one, it's a little tidbit. We know that Damon Lindelof was given a Star Wars movie to write. It will be co-written by The Strain, which I never watched. That was a Guillermo del Toro series, but he just like executive produced it. I heard it, wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Never watched it. Co-written by The Strain writer Justin Britt Gibson, focusing on, here's the important bits, kids, open your ears, focused on post-Skywalker timeline. So they're finally, they've been talking about it for a while. We know that Rian Johnson supposedly still has a proposed spin-off trilogy that they have not said was kiboshed or killed yet. But we do know that they're going to be moving on from the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
Hollywood Reporter broke the story, further stated that Britt Gibson was elevated to co-writer after joining a writer's room with heavy hitters. Possibly Dave Filoni himself to go over the future of Star Wars. So he must have said something they fucking thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And anything Filoni does anymore, I just perk up anyway, because even the kid stuff, he usually has a couple nuggets of juice in it.
Mm-hmm. Gives you a real Filoner. I don't know how crazy I am about Damon Lindelof. I liked him when I was younger. I even like Lost, I really liked. And what's the other one? It's mentioned right in the article. What the Left Behind or something like that. The Leftovers.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I never finished that, but I heard it got really great, and I never watched it.
I watched like two, and it's one of those things. It was the same thing as Lost. It had these great interactions between characters. I love co-character development. It's my favorite thing in just anything, to see how people grow as individuals and bounce their shit off of one another. And it did that very well. Lost did the same thing, but just ultimately, it's like the overarching story. It's not like it has to be the main focus or anything, but like you have to have some kind of plan. It can't just be like, who knows? Like there's no satisfaction when like something is revealed if it's just like another fucking mystery. Like there has to be some sense of like, oh, we finally know what that was in episode 2 of season 1. It's just like,
well, I heard that Disney was buying the rights to the Leftovers show, and they're just going to rename it The Blip, and then. I'm sorry, that was a really fucking stupid joke.
I thought you were being sincere. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
No, and I will say there's a series, I don't think you liked this when it came out, or maybe you didn't watch it. I can't quite recall. The Watchmen show on HBO?
Oh, I just never watched it. I always wanted to. That was Damon Lindelof.
Oh, it was Scott that didn't like it. Yeah. And second time I've mentioned Scoot today. Third time he's going to show up in my mirror and scare me when I go to sleep tonight. He's like, Beetle Scoot. Love you, buddy. Hope you get down to Florida. Okay, my boy moved. So, where's I going with this? Oh, right. That show was considered controversial, but that's because it dealt pretty heavily with race. Lindelof wrote that. I loved that show.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
Unabashedly think it's a fantastic show. And I know some people who were like, stupid. It was too on the nose with race stuff. And sure, I mean, it's a part of, it's literally a part of the story, but the way that they weave in plot points from the graphic novel, but have twists around them and turn them on their head, I fell in love with that. I loved it.
Jeremy Irons play Adrian?
That's one of the surprises, but yes.
I mean, he's in his outfit in the trailer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's not a surprise. Yeah, he's an older Adrian Veidt.
Yeah.
And I love Jeremy Irons.
I love Jeremy Irons, and Adrian Veidt he's like one of my favorite antags of all time, because he's not, he's a piece of shit, but I mean, you know.
He was the first one, I think, Alan Moore was the first one in comics to do that, where he's like, you can't do this. You'll kill millions of people. And he's like, I did it 20 minutes ago.
Dude, I loved that. I'm not some comic book supervillain. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Cool. I love it. I'm tired of Skywalker, but
do yourself a favor. Go read the graphic novel for Watchmen if you haven't. It's absolutely one of the best graphic novels. It's not some people do hyperbole when they talk about things as being seminal. Fucking phenomenal piece of literature.
It has all these side stories that just like lend themselves to what's happening in the just so like seamlessly, so easily. Like you're wondering. My favorite one. All right, we're already breaking off here, but
we're gonna do better this week. I promise.
My favorite one in the graphic novel that only has like an ode to it in the movie, which I'm glad that was in it at least. But I understand you can't put everything from the graphic novel in it. It was the two guys. It was the old fat newsstand, and the entire novel. They're just bickering at each other. They hate each other, and the whole point, like Adrian's trying to make, is that when something terrible happens, people group together. And even these two fucking hate each other, when this bomb goes off, the guy goes and tries to protect the other guy from the explosion right before they both get vaporized. Him. So good, dude.
I feel it in my eyes are getting teary.
That 6-panel stretch is etched into my mind. It's just so iconic.
Dude, there's so many fucking good moments in that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So the THR sources for the Star Wars thing that we were talking about 8 years ago say that the story takes place after Episode 9 and could very well involve characters from the sequel trilogy, but it's not considered a saga film, meaning it won't be Star Wars 10. I don't care. I'm okay with that. Star Wars, tell me stories from different corners. We'll talk about Andor later.
Yeah.
A spoiler alert. I'm infatuated with this show, and the last two, oh God, we'll talk about it later. Yeah. The last 2 episodes have done something for me so strongly that the cum power is over 9,000. Okay,
I feel like Star Wars should abandon the number thing at this point, because I feel like
it's done. That was a Skywalker.
That was the Skywalker thing, and I am glad we got what we got from the Skywalker saga, but I'm done with Skywalkers. I don't care anymore. I want to see. There's a whole other galaxy. Let's just do other shit other than one fucking family. Please, just drop it. There never needs to be a Star Wars 10.
Yeah, we don't need it. We don't need the Star Wars dynasty. There's so many more interesting tales, as evident by things like Rogue One, by Andor, by this one that we're going to talk about now. What a juice segue. The Acolyte is the other show that I'm looking forward to very much, and they released a set photo today from production, which has started. If you remember, one of our boys from Squid Games, Lee Jung-jae, is cast in this. He's in the set photo there on stage with some practical sets, not just all CG. They added Manny Jacinto, Carrie-Ann Moss is going to be in the show.
Nice.
And more to the Amanda Stenberg-led Star Wars series. And we got a little itty bitty titty bit more information about it, which is that they described it as a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. So remember, this is taking place hundreds of years ago. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they anticipated. Here's what sold me. We heard about this before. Headland has described the series as being from the perspective of the bad guys when they were outnumbered. So it could be about a handful of Sith as they break away from the teachings of the Jedi. But this is the High Republic era, so the Jedi are extremely prevalent. They're at the top of their game. They feel like they don't think the dark side is even around anymore. They think the Siths have been eradicated. So I know it's going to be from the evil guys' point of view, but it could almost feel a little bit like the early days of the rebellion, where these guys are trying to make waves in a very small group. And I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, it does sound cool. It's an interesting premise. I didn't know, the name The Acolyte, I don't know why, it makes me think of you're going to tell me the name for sure, the witches that employ the Force in a different way than the Jedi do.
Night Sisters.
There it is. Night Sisters.
You're going to tell me the name. You don't know me.
The one time I jokingly said that, I'm like, I bet you know the name of the tentacles for the Twi'leks, and you're like, oh, the bloobs or whatever you said.
The Leku.
The Leku. There it is. I was like, oh, he literally knows that. Okay. It looks cool. I saw another not set photo, casting photo, just sort of a grid of who they have coming onto the show, and there was a bunch of really cool looking folks in there.
Cool cats.
Some cool cats. They had the male lead from Russian Doll, who every time I see him, which is not often, but when I do see him in something, he does very well. So yeah, look forward to it.
Cool. This is huge news, but again, we missed last week, unfortunately. So it's you've probably heard it if you're into the world of comic books and video games. James Gunn and Peter Safran have been named to lead the film, TV, and animation divisions for DC. They are officially branding it DC Studios. They've even given it its own official acronym. It's going to be DCU, just for the DC universe. Not inventive. Who gives a shit? But it's co-founders, Peter Safran and James Gunn. And universally, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but universally, everyone seems to be very excited about this.
Yeah.
from people like me who are super duper into all this stuff to even I had friends of mine who are like only passively into comic book movies send me a link to it and go, oh shit, that's pretty cool. Because everyone knows who James Gunn is at this point.
Yeah.
I think Gunn's last project for Marvel will be Guardians 3, and then he's donezo over there. Yeah. He's all DC all the time, baby boy.
I think it's like, you know, I've said in the past that I actually like DC's method of having sort of like tiny little sub-universes rather than one big shared one. And so a piece of me is like, all right, well, it kind of sucks that that's probably going to go away. Like, I understand the thought process behind it. MCU does so much better. So to have like one or two guys sort of like steering the entire ship, I get that they would go, well, we have to kind of take a page out of their book. My immediate thing is to go, well, I don't like that because that kind of goes against what I like about the DCEU. Right. But who they got is James Gunn, which is kind of, you know, he's had a pretty good track record past couple years. Mm-hmm. I don't always like, I haven't like sworn fealty to him like a lot of people have. Like, I think that he can go a little too heavy
100%
on the chummy humor. But, you know, I mean, DC's darker material, so maybe he will be able to shy away from that a little bit more. It is exciting news, though. I'm happy. I just want to see DC flourish. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's now like, I've been so overexposed to Marvel that like, I want to see what else can be done. So.
Yeah, I agree. You know, this comes on the heels of they have got 4 films coming out in 2023. And, you know, they've talked a lot about what it means for Matt Reeves, the Batman 2, and the budding small universe splitting off of that with the Arkham show and the Penguin show that were supposedly in the works, and Joker 2, which are obviously not going to be part of the main universe. And they have said that those things are still happening. And it sounds like they will leave those alone and let them flourish. So there's two sides of the coin. Like, yes, I think they're going to unite. And in fact, Gunn actually put out a tweet the other day. I don't have it in our doc, but he said, and you might hate this, he said, get ready for the biggest story ever told, because it sounds like they're going to be trying to push a narrative across TV animation and films that all somewhat ties together. At least that's the idea that I got, which, again, look, if you can, I can't help but feel a little optimistic, and it's all due to our big boy in blue Superman and the news of Henry Cavill coming back. And I feel like the leadership at DC, although he did a bunch, Zaslav, who bought the studio and made a bunch of really derisive what's the word I'm looking for?
Polarizing, divisive.
Polarizing.
Okay.
That's right. There you go. Decisions when he first started, like canceling the Batgirl film. It seems like they're kind of, the impression I get is they're going, well, people want to see this. Why aren't we giving it to them? Yeah. Because fans everywhere wanted Cavill to continue playing Superman. I have no idea. I have no clue what they were thinking at Warner Brothers before Zaslav came on board, where that wasn't a given. But everybody I knew thought he did great, wanted to see him be Superman more often. Yeah. And so, you know, one can only hope. It sounds like Gunn has a great storytelling mind. And if, from what this sounds like, Safran's going to be more behind the scenes. He's got some good credits to his name, too, although I forget what they are. But I literally watched an article that was like, here's why they're going to be perfect together. Yeah. Gunn is also going to be doing DC films himself, as well as being in charge of like creative decisions and where the overarching story goes. So I couldn't be happier with this. I'm in the bulk of the internet who think that this sounds like a great idea. We just talked a couple weeks ago about Gunn and Safran potentially being involved in a mystery DC project. And it turns out that well, sure. And they're also in charge of all the DC projects coming up. Just for a reminder, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the Flash movie, Blue Beetle, and so what am I missing? There's 4 things to come out next year, and I only listed 3.
I don't know. The fourth one.
So
wait, is Aquaman 2, is that out yet?
No, Aquaman 2 comes out in 2023.
I couldn't remember if they had released 2 already or not.
Aquaman 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
Is the official title. All right, moving on. We have more news. A long time ago, we reported there's a Green Lantern show at HBO Max in development. under the guise of Greg Berlanti, who's done some comic booky shit for CW. He was in charge of a lot of that shared universe, which admittedly is kind of garbage now.
Mm-hmm.
However, that show has lost its writers and is being redeveloped. This should not be a super huge surprise. They just hired a bunch of new people to run the DC universe, so you would think that they're going to have new direction. They probably didn't like what they were writing for the show. They're not canceling it, but they are redoing it from the ground up, probably reinventing what it means for that show to exist, which is great because it probably means it's going to tie into the larger DC universe, which it should.
Yeah.
Green Lanterns are kind of corny in my estimation. They have power rings like the kids from Captain Planet.
I actually have always really wanted to get into Green Lantern. I don't know, the concept of that is really cool. Like they're space cops, and it's all based
100%.
on like you have some defining characteristic, and if you like are emblematic of that characteristic enough, then they choose you, right? Like that's it. And there's like an order of the rings and all that. It's all very like fantasy sci-fi. I don't know. It just sounds fucking awesome. I just don't know where to start. So I just like, people are like, oh, first off, read this 80 issue string of comics. And then I'm like, okay, this is too much work. So
you
like,
need to start with this 120 issue run.
So like condensing it into a show, I'm actually really excited for it. I didn't know that was your opinion. I didn't know you found the lanterns to be a little.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
No, it's true. I did interrupt you very harshly.
The Green Lanterns as a concept on paper sound corny to me.
Right.
And it should dawn on me that you'd be interested because Lord of the Rings.
Right, rings. I just love rings.
The rings of power.
Cock rings.
But the stories cock rings. The stories I have read about Green Lantern have all been really good. If you remember the shitty Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern film, the enemy was Parallax. Well, Parallax in the comics is actually an iconic Green Lantern arc where, and Sinestro falling out of grace and becoming a Yellow Lantern and founding the Yellow Lantern Corps. There are some really cool other Lantern Corps. There's the Red Lantern Corps, which is it's like fucking. They're just metal. That's how I can describe them. They're just fucking heavy metal.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. The show's being redeveloped. That's all we wanted to tell you. See, told you some things.
That's got to be a bad sign, though. I feel like I don't know. Like, oh, we got rid of all the writers. Is like, whoa.
I didn't necessarily take it as bad. I mean, maybe it is. Who knows? I took it as what you guys are doing is cool, but we're kind of redoing how all this is going to fit together, and what you're doing doesn't make any sense in that world. So we're going to start over.
It just makes me think like, we might have even talked about it on the show, but the Knights of the Old Republic remake, how they, whatever team they had, they brought their demo to like the president of whatever. And he was like, every single one of you is fired, get out. And they put it on hold like that. That just makes me think of that. Like, if whatever they had was so bad that they just got rid of everyone and got new people, I guess you're right. It doesn't necessarily mean it's because it was bad. There's under new management. Maybe they just shifted stuff around. I guess we'll just see. Wait,
a really quick bit of DC news and then we'll just continue right on steamroll on this news. Is The Sandman has been renewed at Netflix for a season 2, which is titties.
The only surprising thing about that is that I thought that was like immediately announced. I didn't know it took a month or two after it released.
I think the concern and the relief at this news comes from the fact that it was apparently a pretty expensive show.
Yeah.
And Netflix is known for like, unless like, even if your show did well, unless this does like bonkers well, we're probably not going to fork out that much money a second time. They've canceled a few shows in the last, year or two that like did well enough, but they were like, it wasn't the crazy hit we wanted it to be. We're like, all right, well, not everything's going to be Stranger Things. So, but this is great. I'm happy about this. There's still a pretty good amount of story to tell here in the second season. Of the arcs I've read, the next one is just as good, if not better than the first, because Lucifer comes back and there's a whole bunch of really cool shit that happens.
Right.
And I don't want to go into it because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, good news. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Very excited. Very good.
Moving on to things. I should have did this when we talked about Batman Arkham earlier because it is directly related. But the co-founders of Rocksteady Studios, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, who helped create the Arkham series, who have led the development for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game that's coming out next year, are leaving the studio for, quote, a new adventure in gaming. In an open letter, they said a bunch of nice shit. I'm not going to read it. But they're leaving. And here's what I took from it. Those guys are fantastic, and they've always been the we'll release it when it's fucking done, and you can just wait for it type. And that's why everything they've done in the Arkham series, I waited with bated breath, and I'm very much looking forward to the Suicide Squad game that under their stewardship means that it should also be a quality game. What this says to me is they were tired of being pigeonholed into superhero games.
I thought the exact same thing reading it. They just want to do other shit, but their formula works so fucking well. That's all that was getting pitched to them. And they're like, all right, it's been 10 years, 12.
Rocksteady got bought by Warner Brothers. They're a Warner Brothers studio. So it's, sorry, you guys do it well. And that means that's all they're going to want you to do.
Yeah.
So I can almost imagine like Sefton was like, great, we did the 3 Arkham games. That was the long, hard trilogy to make. We're doing the Suicide Squad game. It's coming out great. Can't wait. We're going to start with a new IP next. And then Warner Brothers was like, no, you're not. And they're like, all right, then we're fucking out. See ya.
Yeah, sometimes those things can go really well. Are they joining a new company or making a new company?
I think they're going to found another company.
Right. That would be great.
Yeah.
Remember when that dream team came together for, Kingdoms of Amalur? There was like a former Phillies pitcher with Todd McFarlane. And that was it was like a dream come true for like 4 months. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. For like 4 months, and then you just started hearing about all the horrible shit that they were doing to their employees, and they went hella bankrupt. So hopefully that doesn't happen here.
Let's hope they go find some cool shit to fucking do.
Yeah, good for them. I'm happy.
Good. This is the first game. That's crazy. How long? I mean, they're not a crazy huge mega studio. They have a pretty good sized team, obviously, but the last game that Rocksteady released was 2016's Batman Arkham VR.
Oh, shit. Oh, excluding the fact that they're developing one right now. Okay. All right. Duh.
Right. Like, hang on Suicide Squad will be the first one since then. It's been 7 years.
Right. So they're another CD Projekt Red. Like, we'll give you maybe one game a decade.
Yeah. But they've been fucking toy. I think Origins was made to satiate people.
Yeah.
Until Arkham Knight came out. Because Arkham Knight's such a massive fucking game. Anyway, moving on again. Speaking of CD Projekt Red, you fucking segue giving hunk of love. I don't know where I was going with that. One of the projects that we talked about a while ago, the one that was codenamed Canis Majoris, has been announced, and it is a remake of the original Witcher game. We don't know much else about it. I'm not sure why. This is like weeks out, maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks out from the original announcement where they said Canis Majoris. I don't know why they wouldn't have just said the Witcher remake at that point.
Yeah.
But they put out a tweet that said, "We're thrilled to reveal that together with Fool's Theory Studios, we're working on remaking The Witcher using Unreal Engine 5. We want to do this right, so be patient. It's going to be a while until we can share more details." And all they had was a title card. If they remake this game and they do what some companies have done in the past, where they remake it, but they put in systems from like Witcher 3 that make the game better, I'm 100,000% behind this idea. Because I haven't played the original because I tried to play it once and it felt like clunky.
It's dookie butter. It's really not. I tried
the story's good.
Yeah, I did. I watched before I played 3, I watched like a story, condensed of 1 and 2, and it seems very good, but nuh-uh. That is an old game. It's weird how stuff like, I think we've talked about this a million times, but like, there's just certain systems or certain engines or whatever that just don't stand the test of time. Like, you can look at a game that came out like 12 years prior to that, like Super Mario World or like fucking Final Fantasy 6 or something, and those games have not aged as bad as The Witcher 1 has. It's just weird. Like, I don't know, but I'm hella on board for it. I mean, you'd have to really drop the ball for me to not want to play this. Even if it is like, obviously they have to, if it's like a ground up thing, they're not just doing a graphical update. Otherwise they'd have some kind of date. It sounds like this is going to be another wait 8 years for type thing. But no, I have wanted to experience that story. 2's gameplay and graphics are still like, they hold up well enough that you can go from 3 to 2. But
you can mod it to make it look better if you want to.
Yeah. But no, it's exciting. And I also, like, I've seen a lot of people kind of shitting on the fact that they're working in tandem with an outside studio, and I just don't. The game is made, the story's all there. Again, it'd have to be a serious flub to mess this up, to make me lose interest. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Right. And speaking of serious flub. Oh, no. The Netflix is, listen, you know, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And the omelet is the grand return of Henry Cavill to the role of Superman. And the omelet is making my dick hard. But the eggs we had to break on the way were that Henry Cavill's being replaced in the Netflix Witcher series after season 3. So season 3 will come out. I think they filmed most of it already. Season 4, Geralt will be played by
the lesser
Hemsworth. Yes. That's the title of the episode?
The lesser Hemsworth, without a doubt. Yeah.
We just said it in fucking unison. Yeah, he is Liam Hemsworth, younger brother to Thor, and undoubtedly the lesser Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Is replacing him, and I gotta be honest with you, I just don't see it.
No. It's not. It's over.
Nothing against him. I don't think he's a bad actor. He's been in some fine movies. I don't see it. I don't see him as the role. He could prove me wrong. I don't think he will.
I don't think so either, because it's kind of a mediocre show that's really lifted up by Henry Cavill's massive arms and thighs and abdomen. It's like the only thing, like, I'm not like a season 2 hater, but it was definitely like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, some of the shit that the decisions they were making were weird. A lot of it was boring. Anything that a scene wasn't featuring Geralt was kind of like, all right, can we get back to the big hunky guy with the white hair and yellow eyes?
Yeah, where's that hunky?
And now he's going to be gone. So, I mean, I'm going to watch season 3, and I'm going to attempt to watch season 4 as well with Liam, my man Liam. I don't anticipate it's going to go well. I don't know. He's kind of like, he's just like Chris Hemsworth.
Lesser Hemsworth.
He's the lesser Hemsworth. He's a pretty face, not a great actor. But I mean, like, Chris has the, like, charisma and comedic timing that I think Liam just doesn't have. And I just think it's over. I think it's done. So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see that I'm correct about this. We'll find out.
It's not good.
No.
No. No. It's not good. Look, yeah, I just don't see it. And it looks like the internet is pretty unanimous in their disdain for this news. I mean, from everything from people making fun of him, which isn't fine because, you know, Liam is an all right guy. This is not the role for him. But from people just to go, look, like, honestly, I'd rather you just delay season 4 and work around Cavill's schedule. Like, we'd much rather you just do that.
I really don't think that it's, I think Superman was a great out for him, but he is like really kind of sneakily like expressed his disdain for their deviation from the books and from the games. And in the beginning, when their plan was to stick to the books, he said, I'm fully committed to 7 seasons of the show. And then they're just moving further and further away from it. I think he just went, if this isn't going to be a true, you know, readaptation, then I'm out. And I think Superman was just a good way for him to be like, sorry, I got this now. It's more money, a lot more money. That's my unconfirmed, like, that's just my opinion. I have no way of knowing that for sure.
All right, we got one piece of Marvel news and one piece of PlayStation news, and we're off to the trailers. Okay, this is a quick one. Mostly just so I can talk shit on it.
Yeah.
There's a Vision spin-off series in development at Marvel, and the first details have been revealed by Deadline. They reported this at first. Deadline's noting the series will focus on Vision trying to regain his memory and humanity, and that Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff could appear. It's likely that Paul Bettany would reprise his. Why would you even do it if he couldn't reprise his role? Like, what's even the point? For his efforts in WandaVision, Bettany earned a Primetime Emmy Award. I didn't know that, but good job. He was fine in that show until the end when the show itself fell apart. Yeah. I mean, Paul Bettany's a good actor. So here's the thing. I know of the comic storyline where Vision has his memory wiped because he is an android, and kind of forget, and it's tragic in the show, even though the show goes to shit at the end, to see like him see Wanda and see his life, but have he has all this knowledge in his head at the end, but doesn't have the emotional attachment to any of it, and that's tragic to me. And I don't know. Look, this could surprise me. This could be the kind of thing where, honestly, I think it would be better if the season took place after Wanda died in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
So that maybe he gets his emotions back, but then can do nothing, but can't reconcile with her and has to do it in a different way. Like, I don't fucking know. They're not going to do anything like that.
They're not. It's going to suck ass.
Yeah, it's going to be
definitely going to be stupid. It'll start
They're
off.
not going to do an emotional drama where we have to watch him regain his humanity. It's going to be like bing, bang, boom, big balls, the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Bing, bong, boom.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's it.
That's all. Me too. I have no faith in it whatsoever.
Bing, bong, boom. Bing, bong, boom. PlayStation VR 2. Doesn't really rhyme, but I'm going to go in anyway. It launches in February at... How much did you pay for your PS5, Derek?
How much did I actually pay for it in Dogecoin?
Well, no. How much... What was the street value of that?
I don't want to say it out loud. Just go on. How much did you pay for yours?
500, I think.
All right.
That's the price that it was supposed to be.
All right.
PlayStation VR is launching in February. It's going to be $550.
Great. This is I didn't want to ask this. I know the answer to this question. I didn't want to ask this in chat when you brought it up, but to me, logically it wouldn't make any sense. This is just for VR. This isn't like a package deal of anything. It's just for a VR headset, correct?
It's for it's the headset and the two controllers.
Oh, right. Your little wands or whatever they're called.
Little wandies.
How much did you pay for the one you have?
For the Oculus Rift S?
Yeah.
That was $400 when it came out.
So hang on, that's not too crazy of a price point then, is it? Well, I guess not unless it's also usable on on your PC, but I mean, I imagine if there's been leaps and bounds, I don't think an extra 150 is the craziest price point leap. No.
Mine's the Rift S though, so it's a totally different brand.
Yeah.
So it's not, I wouldn't say apples to oranges, but it's not quite the same thing. Here's the thing. If you really love VR, this represents a really nice upgrade from the first PlayStation. It's just hard to see the value in spending that much money on something that at most is only going to be viable for, another 5 or 6 years, probably, before they release the PlayStation 6 or whenever the fuck they do it. I mean, the last console generation was 7 years, and that was an extraordinarily long console version. This is a nice headset upgrade. The headset itself, they have built-in cameras on it now, like the Rift S and the Quest 2, the wireless version. So there's no sensors needed, which was an issue with the original Oculus headsets and Valve headsets. And the original PlayStation headset used the PlayStation's webcam and did light tracking. So the headset had a light bar. The Move controllers had basically the balls at the end of the Move controllers lit up. And that's the worst way to track VR that you can do. Light tracking is the most non-specific, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Imprecise.
Yeah. Imprecise. Wow. Sometimes I just can't think of the fucking word, Derek.
I got you. That's what I'm here for.
I need some ginkgo biloba. Help me with the memory. Anyway, camera's built into the headsets. It allows you to do pass through and see the world around you, which is a great feature with a headset that's covering your literal entire face. The controllers are also a mega huge upgrade. So some of that development cost you're probably eating in the price of this, because these controllers look much more like an Oculus wand, which are fantastic controllers. I have one right in front of me. The rings around them and the buttons feel great, and they're all haptic, and they can all sense when you have your thumbs down, and it mimics in game.
Yeah,
that's a lot of tech to design, build, and then mass produce. So I get the cost, and for the cost, it's got pretty impressive specs. The resolution is really good on the headset. Everything I saw with the first party VR titles that are going to come out, there's a Horizon experience coming out with this called Call of the Mountain that looks fucking sick. I can't imagine spending $550.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive price tag.
Peripheral for a $500 console. I would much rather just take that money
and buy a Steam Deck, in my case.
A Steam Deck, or I don't know, whenever they come out with the Quest 3, because I'm probably going to get that, because this headset, while it does have a cool charging base, is not wireless. It has to plug into your console, because that's where some of the horsepower is coming from. Whereas the Oculus 2, so appealing to, I almost want to buy an Oculus 2, even though I know the 3 is probably coming out in the next 6 months, just because my Rift S even is tethered to my computer. But they've made so many advancements with the Quest or Meta Quest headsets that they are now. The twos that they're wireless, and if you ever do need to connect to your computer to like use its horsepower, they can do it wirelessly now.
Yeah,
you don't even have to plug them in anymore.
Oh, wow.
And why wouldn't you want a wireless virtual reality headset that you can be wherever at in your house and not tethered to a fucking console or a computer? So. Moral of the story here is cool. It sounds like a nice piece of hardware and a nice upgrade from the first one, which is the whole point of making a PlayStation VR 2. But I don't know. I'm not going to buy it. This is probably for console diehards who will never buy a PC if they want to get into VR. They'll probably buy this.
The other issue with VR for me in general is just that I'm worried. You had mentioned that pass-through thing, which is interesting, because I always thought I'd feel... no joke that I feel like I would feel claustrophobic or something in one. And of course, like the motion sickness that everybody reports, I know there's like some stuff you can tweak to make that a little lesser or whatever, but like to spend hundreds of dollars on something that I might just like freak out and get sick in is just doesn't seem like, I don't know. I guess I could always just try excuse me, I guess I could always just try one out, but I don't know, that's always been the thing that's prevented me from doing it. But then I see these really fun videos of people playing as Spider-Man and shooting people with pistols and like throwing their magazine up in the air and like catching it in the bottom of the gun.
Here's the thing. VR can be very fun, and I've had lots of fun in VR. I've had lots of oh shit, that's really cool moments. Half-Life Alyx is actually a primo.
I've heard that's very good
game.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man shit you're talking about, I would love to do. I would throw up immediately.
Yeah.
There are certain.
Did you see the one I'm talking about, where it's like him fighting
the bridge.
Fucking Shaggy or something?
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh. Yeah. And they are funny, and it looks super cool to swing. But that feeling of movement is what causes someone to be sick.
Yeah.
So swinging I would vomit immediately. Yeah. Here's a couple hints. Subnautica can be played in VR. Don't, because have you ever played Subnautica?
No, but I've seen videos of it. So
the loading screen of Subnautica, which is the open ocean, makes me nauseous. Like as soon as it loaded, I was like, "Oh, can't play this. Yeah. I can't even look at the screen." Any game that has like a teleport mechanic, that helps tremendously.
Yeah.
I found that some there's the Star Wars game that came out, the Darth Vader VR game.
Right.
That was pretty fun. And there you can do teleporting in that. There are ladders, which are cool to climb in VR because you're just kind of pulling like this in the air. You're like grabbing. And when you do that, at first I went, cat. Yeah. Meow. At first I went, oh, this might make me sick. My stomach feels upset. But I actually got used to that because it's like slow and deliberate. And Squadrons.
Yeah.
Because you're stationary and you're in a cockpit, the movement doesn't make you feel nauseous.
Yeah.
It's whenever you feel like your body is moving and it's not really.
Yeah. That's the one that's looked the coolest to me. Like the fact that you can like look down at your little gadgetry and like your readouts and everything. I don't know. Very cool.
Squadrons is sick in VR.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick. It's the kind of thing that when you play it for the first time, it makes you a little giddy. Like the first time we played and we were in like a asteroid field or something, and there's like lava over here. And I was just like looking out the side of the cockpit. I'm just like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, moving on to the trailers.
Trailer
time. Oh, don't like that. Trailer time. Okay, let's blast through these bad motherfuckers. First one up, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which will be streaming November 25th on Disney Plus and guest starring your boy Kevin Bacon. I liked this trailer. The Guardians kind of wore on me in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I liked the first movie way more than the second one. I don't think the second one's a bad movie, but I just felt exhausted of those characters. And the second one was a great example of when you said sometimes Gunn drinks his own Kool-Aid a bit too much. And there's a couple scenes in 2 where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
There is... We just talked about Man of Steel last podcast, and I talked about the moment where Feora threatens his mother, and he has that rageful. He's like, "You don't," he like flies in, like going as fast as he can. He grabs her, and he's beating the fuck out of her. That moment of like protecting your parents or being angry on behalf of your parents. There's that moment in Guardians 2 where he's like, "Well, I had to kill her." He's like, "I'm sorry." He was like, "I'm so sorry, I had to plant the cancer in her brain." And he's in a trance. And when he hears that, he like comes out of it.
Yeah.
And he's got this fucking good job, Chris Pratt. I give credit where it's due. That scene gives me the same feeling. And it's very, very satisfying. I don't know. This trailer is fun for me.
I have to agree. I wanted to shit on it, like, because it's just such a chintzy idea to me. Like, oh, what if we took the goofiest Marvel group and made it a holiday special? But it was kind of funny. It was kind of charming. Like, I can't deny it. I just love Kevin Bacon. He's a bro. So it's happy to see him back around.
Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, it's a minute-long trailer. What can you say? It's got all the Guardians humor in it. And I hope it's good. I hope it's enjoyable. I hope it's not a cheap cash-in.
Something very satisfying about, like, they've mentioned Kevin Bacon in, like, both previous Guardians of the Galaxy films, I think. Something very satisfying about knowing he's showing up. I'm actually disappointed they put it in the trailer, if I have to be honest.
That they actually find him? Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where, like, even if they had just said, we're going to find Kevin Bacon but not put him in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because he's going to show up because I've seen every Marvel movie before and I know he fucking work. But, like, I don't know. It was fun, though. I don't really have much else to say about it.
Then let's move on. Next trailer.
It streams on November 25th on Thanksgiving. So while you're eating your turduckins and your deep fried turkeys and you're eating, oh, dude, I can't wait for pumpkin pie. Can
I tell you something crazy?
You don't like pumpkin pie?
I'm not really that into pumpkin pie. And okay. I feel so alienated on Thanksgiving.
Name a pie you love, because maybe I don't like it.
I love apple pie. Straight up.
I'm not really into apple pie.
Are you serious? Are you are you a serial
I'm
killer?
exact opposite.
Okay.
I'm not saying I dislike it, but I'm just not that in. Like, if someone said,
"Here's pumpkin pie," like, I'll eat it
exactly,
but I'm not like, "Oh, I can't wait for pumpkin pie." If someone apple, said, I'm going for the apple 100%.
If someone said, "Do you want apple with a scoop of ice cream or pumpkin with like a Cool Whip on top?" Pumpkin all day.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite.
I love pumpkin pie. I could eat an entire. I could eat an entire pumpkin pie, dude. I fucking love it.
How do you feel about cheesecake?
This is perfect. We don't have to argue with each other.
Right.
Over
we
Thanksgiving.
each get one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you a cheesecake fan? Like, are you a cheesecake fan, man?
Cheesecake is also absolutely fantastic.
Oh, it's wonderful.
We can both be Ben Stiller at the end of Dodgeball eating our respective pies, and we'll watch the holiday special together. Okay, so moving on to The Pale Blue Eye, a random official teaser that I did not know was happening.
You had a perfect opportunity with Ben Stiller to segue into the God of War Ragnarok trailer, right. and you I want you to continue with Pale Blue Eye, but in the moment.
this is my punishment.
I have to call you out on it. That was a big flub just then.
Oh, and I just got done telling you how I organized all the news articles to work together well. And then
I thought you were setting yourself up. I was like, damn, he's killing it tonight. And then, nope, right into Pale Blue Eye. Please continue.
We're not experts here at the Cynical Nerd.
We're not. We're winging it.
This is a seat of my pants adventure, okay? Every week. The Pale Blue Eye random official teaser got released on October 27th from Netflix. The synopsis is, I'll give it to you. West Point. Picture this. West Point, 1830. A world-weary detective is hired to discreetly investigate the gruesome murder of a cadet. Stymied by the cadet's code of silence, he enlists one of their own to help unravel the case, a young man the world would come to know as Edgar Allan Poe, played by the fucking shitty Dursley Dudley. Fucking.
Wait,
he's
the fat guy from the fat kid from Harry Potter.
Is that not him?
I don't know. Let me see.
I thought it was him.
The Pale Blue Eye cast.
Who played?
It's him. Wait.
Yeah, I fucking told you. He's all skinny.
He's
and
like
shit.
in great shape. What the fuck,
dude?
It is
the same thing
him.
with Neville. The guy who played Neville Longbottom looks like this goofy buck-toothed kid in the first one. And by the end one, all the girls are like, "Oh, Neville makes me want to drop my Longbottoms."
His name, the actor, by the way, is Harry Melling. We should probably throw that out there. Thank you, Harry. Thank you for your.
What attracted me to this is the list of fucking actors on this.
Yeah, Robert Duvall. Didn't know he was still alive. Glad you're still here, Rob.
Yeah, he at least got to finish this. He could be dead now. I don't.
He shot all his scenes first.
I have this horrible feeling that he is dead. Let me go look it up. No, but my man is fucking 91.
Yeah, he is ancient.
Woo, and he's still acting?
Yeah, still
Good
doing
for
it.
him.
Still out there.
Good for him. Those old bones, they still do it, huh? Christian Bale, Harry Melling, Gillian Anderson, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Toby Jones, Harry Lawton, and yes, Robert Duvall. And I really liked the tone of this trailer.
So did I. I have no idea what's going on, but I agree. It had a very good vibe to it. Set pieces looked great. Costumes look great. I'm into it. I'm ready to come. Ready to nut.
In select theaters December and on Netflix January 6th. There's like a glut of content coming out over the next couple of weeks and months, and I'm ready. My fucking body's ready for it.
I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
My 200-pound body. What's up, baby? Hit my first soft goal. Didn't talk about it in the beginning like we usually do.
Very good. I'm proud.
We didn't talk about kids, and we didn't talk about weight. So
yeah, we're turning over a new leaf.
Yeah, this must be the. I was gonna say Cynical Nerd, which sounds so fucking stupid.
I'm glad you didn't.
Speaking of Ben Stiller, God of War Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok released a 3-minute long fucking. It's not really a commercial. It's just like a parody. They're just like, fuck it. We know God of War's gonna make a bunch of money, so let's just spend it on some creative marketing. They paid LeBron, John Travolta, and Ben Stiller to be in what looks like a therapy circle, and and Ben Stiller has obviously played God of War in this, and he's dressed in full Kratos regalia, and they're talking about how they are relating to their kids through it. And I at first I was like, this is cheesy, and it is cheesy. It is 100%. 100% it is. I'm not defending that part. About halfway through, I got like a little reminder of Ben Stiller's humor.
Yeah.
And it made me, it fucking tickled me. So it's such a stupid line. He goes, LeBron, did you have a breakthrough?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but I fucking laughed.
I love his brand of humor. He really is a funny guy. I hear he is apparently an unbearable fucking dickhead in real life.
Oh,
I remember reading about it on I don't know, it was Reddit or something, but the thread was about people who work in the film industry and who's cool and who's not. And unanimously, anybody who brought up Ben Stiller was like, he's a piece of shit. He's like a fucking dickhead. Yeah. Which is a shame because he seems like such a nice guy and relatable too. But apparently he's really not.
I gotta say the angle they took with John Travolta, where he's like the look at me person in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I found it. stupidly charming in a way that I whatever. It's not like I needed a reason to buy God of War Ragnarok, and I certainly wouldn't buy it based off of this. So the marketing to me is like puzzling because it feels like it has no place. Like it's not convincing anyone to buy it.
But isn't it kind of awesome? Like, do you remember, like, the gaming industry has been so figured out to a science that it's like, you remember back in the day, there were commercials like this that were just goofy, even if they were about serious games, like Crash Bandicoot standing outside of like Nintendo of America's building, like yelling through a megaphone at them or whatever, and like just stupid shit like that they just never do anymore because now it's so like so corporatized and everybody, you got to stay safe and just show gameplay, just show the fucking cinematic trailer, and hopefully that gets them in. It was really refreshing to see like a goofball commercial about a very, very serious game. Which I can't wait for. And I appreciate the fact that you have agreed to not play it until my bank thing gets figured out and I can purchase it. I appreciate that. That's really...
you know what I did realize is that because I'm in this new phase of my adult life where I'm actually like willingly being responsible with things like alcohol intake and bedtimes. I'm not going to play it Wednesday. I'm sorry. No, I will. I meant to say Tuesday. I'm not gonna play it Tuesday at midnight. Because I have to get up the next day, so I'm gonna have to wait while all my friends who haven't grown up or don't have kids get to play it at midnight the night before, and I have to like go to work like a fucking adult the next day, and come home, and I'm not even gonna get to crack open some beers and play it because it's the middle of the week, and I'm still limiting myself to weekends.
Yeah. I really can't until like we have this move coming up in like not even 2 weeks, and so I'm really not going to be able to like put a dent in that game until we're in the new place. Like I've accepted that. I'm not saying I'm not.
What? You're moving?
Yeah, I didn't tell you this. Yeah, we're moving.
What the fuck?
We're moving like just like 15 minutes away, not far. But
I knew that
I could have sworn I told you this.
I knew that you had your hip surgery coming up, but I didn't know that you were moving.
Yeah, the 18th, baby. We're moving to a new place. Yep.
Fucking, wait, is it nicer? Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the whole reason. Yeah, and
hopefully it's not worse.
It's in a neighborhood where we hopefully won't hear gunshots every now and then.
Renting or buying a house?
No, renting. But
okay, give everyone on the podcast the exact address.
Okay. So until we're in there, I'm not going to really be able to have like a good old session with it. So I'm just like, whatever, it's fine. I'll get to it.
That's awesome. If you did say it before, I did not remember you saying it. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But
anyway,
cool
I'm very excited for this game.
You're moving right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, dude.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
The next couple months are going to suck assholes. We have like the move, then the holidays, then the surgery, then the recovery. It's going to be a fucking nightmare, but got to get it done.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
I feel like there's a song, but I don't know what it is. All right. Moving on. Next one. Avatar trailer dropped for The Way of Water. I don't even want to talk about this.
I do. Real brief. I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to buy it. Just because James Cameron is such a spectacular cunt. But this looks like a good blockbuster movie, and I'm certainly going to watch it when I can pirate it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it and not pay for it, specifically because he said he's ready to throw in the towel after Avatar 3
if it doesn't
and
do
not do 4 and 5. And please, God, do something else with your talent, James Cameron, than making the fucking Fern Gully ripoff quadrillion. No, what is it? What would it even be? I don't know. Who cares?
What? How much money it costs?
What's after quad? What's the
centillion? No.
I thought Sen was 6. I don't fucking know. I could just Google it because I have the entire wealth of human knowledge at my fingertips at all times, and I refuse to use it.
Don't worry, I got it. It's just taking me a while.
I'm excited. I'm here for it.
Oh, man, that's really. You'd think it would be much more easier. Quadrillion, quintillion, centillion. Quintin, Tarantino.
Quentin, he's got to make a fucking 5 set of films just because of his last name.
It's true.
Called the Quintilogy. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
Go on, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery.
Avatar comes out December 16th. Go see it if you want to. Don't pay money for it, please. All right, look, so we had a teaser for this already. This is for the next Knives Out film, the sequel Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. And this film is coming out pretty soon. comes out November 23rd, 1 week only theatrical sneak peek. And then it's going to come out on Netflix a whole month later on December 23rd. So still in that rash of content I talked about at the end of the year here. This movie has a pretty fun premise. So I like the first one a whole lot. This one, based off the trailer, is like he gets hired to go to a place and spend some time with some people in what looks to be like a fake whodunit at first. And then someone actually gets murdered. And this trailer held the same charm for me that the first movie had. And all signs point to it being just as fun. And that's all I really have to say, but I'm looking forward to it. And I love the cast and crew.
Yeah.
A lot of awesome people in here. Jessica Henwick. I'm glad to see her getting more work. That's the girl that was in Iron Fist. Mm-hmm. Catherine Hahn's in this, Edward Norton, Leslie Odom Jr., Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson, Daniel Craig, Madeline Klein, just fucking everybody you can think of. How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, nothing to add other than the fact that I was glad that they acknowledged that it's kind of a Clue ripoff at the end, with that little blurb at the end. You must be really good at Clue.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, no, it looks fun. Looks like a good time.
Next, Derek, how'd you feel about the A Christmas Story Christmas?
Can I let me just break off into something. I saw A Christmas Story for the first time in its entirety.
We're getting character backstory here, people.
This is critical. It's going to come in right in the third act, and it's going to be the thing that I remember that helps me beat the big bad guy at
critical
the end.
Race Theory.
No! CRC on TCN. No, CRT. I fucked it up. Don't worry.
It's okay.
Don't think about it for too long. I saw A Christmas Story for the first time, like from beginning to end, 3 years ago, maybe, like not even that long ago. I'd obviously seen snippets. Recent. Yeah, I'd seen the snippets. I think I had every puzzle piece but I had never really sat down from the beginning and watched it until the end, until just like a few years ago. And so I don't have like the attachment that I think most people have to it, which is not me being like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm happy people have this movie that is like a yearly tradition that it's on literally 24 hours a day. But it's just never been like, I haven't had a significant attachment to this movie. And so you mentioned that this trailer dropped. Veronica watched the trailer and she was like, hey, we should watch that. And internally I was like, I probably don't care about that as much as you do. I didn't watch the trailer until right before we started recording. And I must admit that it looks pretty good. Like it's surprising to me. I thought that this was going to be kind of a cheap cash in, still could be, but I don't know. There's a charm to it. It has the thing people love about the original. This is my weed poker, by the way, that I'm just sort of flitting around like this.
Nice.
It seems like it has that same quality that the original had, where it's just like about the blunders of getting things ready for Christmas and how that kind of makes those, like all the things you fuck up kind of make it more memorable overall, because you're just doing your best to make the day as best for your kids as you can.
Right.
It looks good. I actually look forward to it, which is surprising to me.
I've got some cynical feelings about the original film, and that's solely literally built up over time. And that's because this is like the movie that's been done to death, and it kind of represents to me in a way like I know this is going to make me sound like a fucking 23-year-old modern day liberal, but it kind of reminds me of like the corporatization of Christmas, and like it's all about presents, and the kids are just worried about what they're going to get the whole movie. And I know it's not just that, and I know that it is considered a classic by many, but I'm so entirely horribly sick of seeing even like a couple seconds of it that when I heard they're making a sequel, I was just repulsed by the idea. I was like, this is fucking, don't do that. And I sent you this trailer and I watched it. And I remember sending you a timestamp, and I said, okay, well, the trailer's just, it's whatever. It's fine. But this moment really actually kind of got me. And there's a moment in the trailer when grown-up Ralphie is talking to his wife, and he goes, my dad used to do all of this for us every year, and he made it look easy. And she was like, and maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it's just something hit me like so fucking hard about that line. And I was just, we've talked about this before. recently with the trip to the beach, where I realized that like a lot of those vacations that you get like sick of the older you get, that lose their magic, that lose their fun, are, you know, there's something that I feel like I'm going to have to reinvest in and rediscover that to give my kids, my children the experience. And I'm like excited to do that now that it's begun just a little bit. I'm ready for the floodgates to open and to have those experiences. And this feels like one of them. And like last year was the first year that Grayson was super stoked about Christmas. Like ready for it months in advance. And he's already talking about this year. And obviously as a kid, he wants toys, but he loves all aspects of it. And I told a story again. I don't know if it was a cat. I don't fucking know what it was. My favorite, one of my favorite stories from last year's Christmas was we put like a little plate to put cookies on for Santa, and we put them out, and make sure he's not creeping up here. Oh, there's Sadie.
There's the dog tricking you.
Hi, you scared me. Go lay down. We put a plate out, and well, here Santa took some bites out of the cookies every night.
There you go. Perfect.
And nailed it. And he was so fucking stoked about it. And I could literally see the magic like sparkles in his eyeballs in the morning. And that's, I was like, oh, like preserving them. And it really hit a note with me. So whether or not the cynicism will come out in me once I watch it, whether or not the movie will still feel like a soulless cash grab, I feel like on some level, I'm going to inevitably connect with the film more than I did the original, because it's based around this kid who had these experiences and is now a dad himself and trying to make them for his kids. And it's where I am in life. Yeah. And that means I'm a slave to it. You win, corporate America.
Yeah. No, but to add on to what you're saying, it is like what I'm celebrating. Here's how I feel about I'm a real Scrooge with holidays, and it's not to get too real for me or anything like that, but I have people in my immediate family that died. My brother and sister are both dead. And like a lot of people who have immediate family members, they're dead. On the holidays, you just kind of notice and fixate on the fact that they're not there. So I'm not like bummed or anything, but I'm just kind of like, all right, this is just another day and I just want to go home. Right. But since Veronica has always been hyped on Christmas. And so ever since we've been together around Christmas, she gets really psyched. She's putting up the decorations, wearing the sweaters, and I'm just always like plain Jane, whatever. And like when we had Odin, I assured her, I was like, look, just because I'm a Scrooge, I promise you, I'm going to make Christmas awesome for him. Like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean I'm going to try to make him not like it too. And so what I'm celebrating this year, and we kind of touched on this with Halloween just last week, is that I'm in the last year. He's a year and he's about 16 months now. 17, actually, since yesterday, 17 months. I'm in the last year I can get away with really not giving a shit about holidays. Right. Like next year I have to really kind of go all in on it, on all of them. So I'm enjoying this year. Not that of course we're not going to celebrate it or anything, but this is it. This is my last chance. And then I got to put on a goddamn Santa hat for the last 2 weeks of December, for the rest of my life. But no, I all jokes aside, I do look forward to, being able to re-spark the magic of Christmas within myself by seeing it through my son. I said that in like a over the top cunty way, but I do mean it sincerely. So
yeah, that's fair. And Samantha, actually, credit to my wife, I like being surprised with things that I don't expect to get. Mm-hmm. Like I'm the guy, and don't get me wrong, I'm bougie as fuck. Okay, I like expensive things. I made a wish list on Amazon, and I literally, when she asked me about it, I said, look, I just put shit on there that I want, but a lot of it's expensive. My 1440p monitor that's on here right now was on that list. My Shure SM7B and the mic stand for it were on that list. And she literally like opened an Amazon credit card and bought all of it for me. I cried last Christmas because I mean, I told you I cry easy, but I mean, it's Christmas morning and she's like, here's your stuff. And I'm like, what is this massive pile of stuff that you bought me? Her and I talk about not giving each other gifts like most couples do or whatever, or sometimes do. We're like, oh, we have Grayson, one small thing, a piece or some shit. And we'll. So of course I never listen to her. I always get her a couple things. And last year she really fucking surprised me with all that stuff. And I was so happy. And I know these material things and I get that, but it was the thought that she went through all this trouble to open the card and to get the stuff and to keep it a secret from me. And I was just overwhelmed.
I fucking love material things. I don't give a shit. I'm not a Buddhist.
Let's be real.
I love material shit. It's my favorite. Yeah. It's my favorite shit in the world.
Would I be happier with a Tesla? You're fucking right. I would. So, especially if it was paid for already.
Right.
Okay, moving on. We've got more stuff to talk about. We're out of trailers. It's on the main topics. We're making okay time. We just got to kind of. So we're going to, you want to leave the order or do you want to change things up?
I think we're good with the order. I think you have more to say about Andor than I do. So I'm just going to get mine out real quick. Basically, sorry.
Do you think we should put Andor and Tales of the Jedi together?
No, that actually does make a lot of sense. So we'll do that second last, then Tales last.
We'll do Cabinet of Curiosities.
Cabinet of Curiosities.
How'd you feel about it?
I liked it. We watched the first two, and one night we had put on the third one, and we were so fucking tired we never finished it, and then we never went back. But I want to. It's a nice little ad drop there. That's very, very subtle marketing.
Turkey neck that was hanging. Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
It's kind of like corny. It's sort of like betraying the rule, like where I hate. It's like it's corny on purpose. I'm kind of okay with it here. I don't know why, but it's just it's well done. It's well acted for the most part. So the only ones we saw were the tentacle face monster thing with the guy from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and the rat people one. The rat one was really like it had a tongue in cheek humor to it, but that claustrophobic, like being underground and being buried alive is like something that speaks to a primal fear of mine. So that was actually, I really enjoyed that one. I have heard that it picks up, like it gets better from the third one on. So I even more so want to watch more, but I haven't. But yeah, no, it's good. I don't know what else to say. It's been a good watch.
I sometimes I hate when we do this because it makes it feel unfulfilling. I would imagine it does to a listener, but I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah.
I feel almost
don't. It's just, I mean, it's
I feel almost exactly the same. It felt it was cheesy, but like I didn't care a lot for some reason, which is odd for me because usually I do care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. I kind of liked how balls to the wall they went with the grave rat thing, but the episode as a whole was just unsatisfying to me because it felt kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I want to watch more, but I prioritized other things over it this week. Too. If that tells you how I feel about it. I was just kind of like, well, okay, let's move on. And that's how I feel about talking about it. Boom, one main topic out of the way.
Done. Strike it from the list.
Andrew Lincoln is in one of the episodes, the guy from Walking Dead. The guy who played the main character in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Rick. And he hypingly said on the internet, I don't know which episode, I don't know if his episode has come out yet, but he said his episode is one of the scariest things he's ever done. And I was like, oh. I liked the first one more than the second one.
Yeah.
It almost gave me like an Are You Afraid of the Dark, but for adults vibe.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Kind of weird premises, not necessarily horrifying in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
The kind of morality tales in some instance. And anyway, all right, moving on.
Yeah. Within like 30 seconds of the opening, he's like, goddamn people that aren't white. I can't stand them. I'm like, okay, we're not supposed to like you. All right. You're the bad guy of this episode.
Yeah. Old pickup truck accent. Don't like the colors. We get your whole vibe, buddy. I'm picking up what you're putting down. You like segregated bowling alleys.
Your lanes go to the left.
What do you want to do? You want to do Speak No Evil first or Barbarian first?
Speak No Evil, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay, sure. I did a little bit of this on the Cynical stream, but I didn't go into detail. And I told you that I had to, for the first time since I'd watched it, describe the film to a coworker who asked me about it. And I felt like I was reliving a past trauma that I went through in my life. This movie it's such as a whole, I wouldn't say innocuous, but it starts off so much more innocently than it ends. Yeah. And it's this thing where, like, you know, we watched the trailers and we knew something bad was going on, but you don't know what. And all they show you in the trailers is all that happens. It's a slow burn. Is all that happens for a decent chunk of the film, which is, sorry, let's give you guys a premise. There's two families. They're both on vacation in Italy, I think. Mm-hmm. And they kind of meet and kind of hit it off. They both have a young child, a younger couple. The vacation was great. They spent some good time together. They really hit it off well. They go back to their respective homes. The one family gets a note from the other that says, "Hey, we had a great time with you guys. Our son misses your daughter. You guys should come stay with us and have a good time." And the dad's far more about it than the mom is. He seems like he's like that stereotypical trope of like corporate daily life is grinding on me and I want to let loose and do something different. They go out and visit him and this is some of the stuff from the trailer, but things get progressively weirder, but very slowly, like in very awkward things. And I messaged you about halfway through the film and I said, this is just a movie of like awkward situation after awkward situation to be around. It's like, they yell at the kid a little too aggressively in front of the other parents. Yeah. One of them points out hypocritically that they shouldn't talk to their son like that. And then like, well, you just said this to your daughter. And like, there was some moments at the dinner table when the one mom is like momming the other person's kid. Yeah. Like, oh, honey, pick up your napkin. And the whole time I'm just like, all of this is like the cringiest. This is like my nightmare for social interaction. It's shit you actually
encounter in real life, and that's why the first half of the movie, and then it obviously it goes off, not off the rails. It goes into like the more
falls
fictional.
Into a quarry, I think.
It becomes a little more fictional beyond that point, but initially it's just like miscommunications, like there's the part the woman's vegetarian, and he's like, "Well, you eat fish. Why is that anymore?"
Another awkward. Yeah. Let me just question your belief at a nice dinner and make you answer for what you think is the right thing to do.
And the fucking check thing where he's like, "Oh, someone ate it." He's like, "Should we help you with the bill?" He's like, "Oh, you'll take care of it. Thanks." He's like, "The fuck?" Just weird shit like that.
Yeah.
That is, and then from that point, let me just steal. You were talking, but I'm just gonna yoink. It's mine now. Thank you.
Passed. Shoot it. Shoot the J.
From then on, the story progresses into basically, it turns out they're serial killers and they want a kid. We don't know if they can't have a kid. This is the couple who, the host, who invited the sort of main character couple into their home, that they are, their kid is missing a tongue. They tell the visiting family that it's because he has some like congenital disease or whatever. And we find out that this couple actually like invites people with a single child into their home. Decides whether or not they like this kid, whether or not they can control this kid. They kill the previous kid who is not theirs. They just stole this from another couple. And then they cut that whatever kid they've stolen, they cut their tongue off so that they can't tell the next family that they're not actually their kid. And they show this all 3 inches away from the face with the 9-year-old girl's tongue getting cut off. Very brutal, very awful. And the worst part about it, the worst line that chilled me down to the fucking bone, and I'll explain why, is when
let me see if it's the same one.
When they take the couple out to stone them to death, they have them take their clothes off, and the husband says, "Why are you doing this?"
Yes, and he answers, "Because you let me."
Because you let me. And there's no further reasoning. There's no like, "I've always wanted a son of my own." It's just like, you let me. You let me pass the bill off onto you. You let me talk down to your wife. You let me beat my kid in front of you. You let me do all this shit that's unacceptable. I did it because you sat there out of politeness and let it happen. And that is what I'm coming off of. This is not life story therapy couch time for me, but like I used to be very argumentative, and I loved getting into fights with people, like verbal disagreements with people, I should say. And now as I'm older, I'm more like, I would rather, like, especially if it's just some stranger in fucking Wawa, if there's some spat or something, I'd rather just walk away and let him think he won. Like, what does it matter at the end of the day? Like, I just sort of through, I don't know, like public politeness, just sort of, I don't let people walk over me, but I'm just kind of like, I'd rather just fucking like let it fly and just walk away and go back to my home. I'll never see this person ever again. So this spoke to, again, a truly primal fear of mine where like, that's essentially, it's taking that and it's stretching it out to an unrealistic extent, of course. But it's basically like how you just kind of don't, you just go like, let's just fucking deal with this to your wife or whatever. Like, let's just deal with this for a second and get the fuck out of here. And just like how far down a road that can go. Yeah. And it was just horrifying. It was really, initially I wasn't overly impressed with the movie. And by the end, and I still feel like it was a really overwhelmingly slow burn, like really, really slow. And I'd never watch it again because it's just nothing really that thrilling happening in it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I watched it because it's like, I need to be more bold with people. Like I need to like not let people cut my son's tongue off. First of all, that's a big one.
Here's the thing. They tried to do an Irish goodbye. Chef's kiss of a decision. They had an awkward night. The wife's like, I want to get the fuck out of here. I would have been like, oh my God, can I marry you all over again? Yeah. I love you so much. I hate long drawn out goodbyes. Yeah. And after all the awkward shit, let's sneak the fuck out. The lesson here is stick to your guns.
Yeah. Just leave.
You've done an Irish goodbye. You would only make it infinitely more awkward. And they did by turning around and talking about it. No, you left your stuffed animal. I don't give a shit, honey. We're going home. That thing is dead. It can burn in hell. You'll never see it again.
That was the most unrealistic part of this movie where I'm like, after something like that, you'd be like, you can cry for 4 weeks. We're not going back for that rabbit.
Yeah,
like,
you'll tire yourself out before we get home. It's a long car ride, honey. I have earplugs. Ha ha. The most terrifying part of this movie, you said unrealistic towards the end, is just how realistic it felt to me. As like the worst horror movies to me are when it's not like some supernatural killer. When it's just people doing shitty things to each other, because that shit sits with me. I am overly nice to everybody, and in a way that it spoke to you as like maybe I should be a little more bold to people. It spoke to me. I don't have the most muscular build. You know, if someone bigger than me threatened my family, what would I do in that situation? And it awakened this, like, it was one of those things where like the movie turned off. And I was just filled with unease and dread. And I went downstairs and like hugged Sam. And I was like, I feel really like gross. I just watched this movie that like, it was horrible. Like what they did. I was like, and she was like, what happened? And I said, I'm not telling you because you're going to bed in like 10 minutes and it will fuck your brain up a little bit. And then I told the people at work the next day and I'm like, dude, there's no happy ending here. Like you figure out what happens when he's in that room in the shed where he sees the picture and you piece it all together as the audience and you go, holy shit, they steal kids. It's not even like a human trafficking thing. Yeah. It's just like you guys are just fucked up. They steal the kid. They cut out the tongue. Like you said, I'm rehashing stuff, but they fucking kill the parents. And then we have to watch it happen. And there's nothing happy about the end. They're just continuing.
They just keep letting it happen. Yeah.
And it fucked me up. I gotta tell you, like I'm glad I watched this film because I think it was a good piece of art. Mm-hmm. I will never watch it again because of how it made me feel. And I guess that's probably what they wanted. Yeah. So good job, filmmakers.
I read trivia about it, and I guess the director writer had trouble getting people to sign on to play the serial killer parents. Like people were reading the script and they were like, I can't do this. Like, this is fucked up.
When they actually, like, you see the scissors and you're like, they're not going to do it. They don't hurt kids in movies. And then they had the scissors come out and the dad is like doing that, like, you're summoning deep feelings as an actor, crying, where he's like, there's this drool, like it's uncontrollable. Yeah. And it's right before he says the thing where he's like, why did you do this? Or why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, because you let me. And there's something so incredibly sinister in that moment that's supposed to just be like, I don't know. It fucked me up. I thought it was a great movie because of how much it affected me.
It had a really deep effect. And by the serial killer couple, they're married in real life. Do they steal people's kids in
okay.
real life? I don't know, but they are married
I
in
would
real life.
certainly hope not. And Sadie just jumped up from her spot and made a bunch of noise that you can't hear in the mic, but scared the shit out of me. All right, moving on to another horror movie that made me feel things. Who knows if they're the same? Barbarian with Justin Long and then a bunch of randos I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to make you start off with this one. How'd you feel about it? And then maybe I'll interject in the middle.
I liked the first 2/3 of it, and then it lost me by the end. Is pretty much how I felt about it. I have to say something, and I hate saying stuff like this because I always am worried that I'm going to be like I'm going to be lumped in with like MAGA people who love saying the word woke over everything. I am so tired of the subtext of every single fucking movie that I watch being that men are bad and want to rape and kill you. I feel like every other fucking movie I watch, that's the message. Like we just made a joke about how the beginning of episode 1 of Cabins and Curiosities, it's like they clearly like give you a hint like this guy's an asshole and you're not supposed to like him. And like the message is received. They kind of threw out the episode here and there. He'll say something racist or whatever to kind of remind you that
he's like, speak English, you're in America.
Yeah,
like, all right, back up there, Hoss.
But like Justin Long in this movie, like every single line of dialogue that he had was like, fucking women suck, am I right? They're only there to be cummed into against their will when I say so. It's like, we get it. Like he's a shitty, douchey guy. Every fucking line of dialogue doesn't have to be this like, I don't know. It's just kind of annoying. I feel like every other movie I watch just has the same exact message. There's just nothing. It's not said in a new way. The sets of this movie were incredible. I feel like it has the same issue that we've complained about with a lot of horror movies, where like before you see the monster, it's really terrifying and jarring and unnerving. And then once you see her and she's constantly in frame, it's kind of like, all right, like we get it.
And it's also just a
gross inbred woman.
Never mind. I can't. The words my brain was summoning were not appropriate.
Okay. Well, it was okay. Like I think that the other thing is with this movie is it's one of those things that I kept hearing people talking about. And so I assumed it was really good. And I think I just blew it up in my head to be something far beyond what it
100%.
could have been. It was okay. Like I'm not like upset. I don't feel like I wasted my night watching it or anything, but it just, I don't know. I feel like it's between the sort of scare factor falling off in the final third and like the message that I was just annoyed by and felt like beaten over the head. Like I'm not an idiot. I get the point that you're making about Justin Long's character. Right. You don't need to keep reminding me. And then it's, I don't know. That's it. It was okay. It was all right.
I agree with most of what you said. The whole like men are evil thing. I didn't get that same vibe, although I can completely understand where you're coming from. Because not only is Justin Long in this movie a fucking horrible person, but so is the old man downstairs who did unspeakable things to other people in that basement. Almost every guy in the show that's alive is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And then the one good guy, the homeless guy who's trying to get her away, is like shown as maybe the bad guy in the early part. And then when he is revealed to actually be just a good guy, he gets murdered within like 10 minutes.
It's very quick.
And I get what you're saying, but I also think that that's a dangerous rabbit hole that I'm just not going to touch with a 10-foot pole as far as the public is. I know what you're saying. I mean, like, I agree with you, and I didn't really think of it like that. And in hindsight, it's like making me mad all over again about something that I had already middling thoughts about. So just
to be clear, I'm not saying I'm offended as a man. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm tired of the same goddamn message in every movie.
It's just the same trope.
Being as like beaten over your head. Like it's just not, there's no subtlety or tact to it. It's just like men are bad in bold lettering. It's like, oh my God. Like, I'm not saying like, well, when do men get our, women are bad movie? That's not at all the point that I'm making. I'm just saying it's like, I'm tired of that being the message of so many movies and it being so blunt and like tactful. I don't know.
Well, then I'm glad I made you expand upon your reviews because that is even better. I like it. I like it even more. Yeah, I early on I was like, is he going towards like a whole where's the evil women movie thing?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But no, I actually agree with you 100%. That it literally is the same trope in every movie. Can you name a horror movie icon that's not a dude? And there are cases to be made that, well, that's just men own Hollywood and everything's a man. But I just, I don't know, make some other ideas that aren't the same ideas as the last movie. Anyway.
It was well shot, though. Incredibly well shot and well edited. Yeah. Lighting, all this stuff. Like the actual like filmmaking aspect of it was extremely well done.
Very good.
Just not a good story to me. Not a good execution.
Yeah. You mentioned that you'd heard a lot of stuff and it built it up, and then kind of that was the beginning of your downfall with the movie, and I could not agree with that more. In fact, I'm part of it. I found good reviews. It was getting really good buzz. They kept calling it a sleeper hit, a sleeper horror movie. I kept seeing things like the less you know about this movie going in, the better. I went in knowing nothing beyond what the trailer had and was profoundly like, at first I'm like, oh, this is scary. And I watched it with Sam. And at first when dark hallway, flashlights dying, that's an easy way to Scaryville for me. And then like you said, once the thing starts getting in frame, I just started cracking jokes about it.
Yeah. Like nice titties.
Yeah. I was just like, this is fucking okay. All right. That's where we're going. All right. Really? That's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. I don't have anything else to say about it. And I also want to talk about Andor and Tales of the Jedi and wrap this motherfucker up.
Let's do it.
Let's do Andor real quick. So I mentioned earlier that these last 2 episodes that we've seen have been really great for me in one major aspect. And that is just intensely reminding the viewing audience how fucked up the Empire is. Mm-hmm. And I think that the last 2 episodes have been phenomenally bleak for our main characters as we watch the net kind of close in from all angles. They're interrogating the one girl on his home planet and threatening her father, is it? That they have, or her friend or something?
I think friend, yeah.
The method of torture they use, they explain, and it's horrifying. And the Imperial scientist who invented it is like gleefully explaining to her what's about to happen. Cassian is in prison, and you find that it's basically slavery. They arrest people for bullshit crimes, and they put them to work if they're fit enough. And look, the standard for being fit enough is not that high because this one old motherfucker is not supposed to be working. And then he dies.
That was a really sad scene.
It was very sad. And they're like med tech, and they call them med tech, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "It's really quick. You won't feel anything." And I'm like, "What do you mean? You have to help him?" And they're like, "This is how we help him."
Yeah.
They just fucking kill them when they're useless. And then, and I know I'm skipping all over the place here. I'm doing like greatest hits of these last 2 episodes. Andy Serkis was a surprise to me. I didn't know he was in this. Yeah. And I love him and everything he does, and it's no excuse here. I love he's kind of like the guy who's like, I wouldn't say like a brown noser, but he was like appointed to be the floor manager, and he takes pride in what he does. And he's like, listen, we win. I'm going to be tough on you, but we win. We get this and we get this bonus. And if you're the best floor, then I'm not the last floor, and that's the last floor gets punished or whatever.
So I feel like, just to interject really quick, I feel like in episode 8, he was, I feel like it was actually really good writing. They kind of show him as a brown noser. And by 9, and of course at the end of 9, we see, I think he's not so much a brown noser as much as like a disaffected rebel. Like, not quite rebel, but like, I think initially he fought back, and then eventually he went, you know what, the smartest and safest thing to do
system.
is we just play the system, get out of here, and then I'm free again. Like, I don't think he was like, oh, the Empire did nothing wrong. I think he's just trying to play by the rules to get his...
Yeah. Vader did nothing wrong. Yeah. All those kids would disagree with you. But then there's this wonderfully slow reveal where he's like, I only have this many weeks. And Cassian at night, he's like, no one's listening. I love those scenes. He's like, no one's listening. You think they give a shit to listen to prisoners? They don't give a shit. They have the voltage on the floor. They know that keeps us in line because we're afraid. He's like, how many guards are on this floor? And he's like, I'm not listening. I'm going to sleep. And he's like pushing him off for the whole episode. And at the end, They find out what happened on floor 2 or whatever it was. And they were like, somebody who got released was put into floor 2 and the other inmates found out and they fucking killed the whole floor. Yeah. And he turns to him and he goes, there is no getting out. And then Cassian goes, that's the best part. Cassian doesn't even ask. And they walk away and he's stone faced and he just goes, there's 12 guards on the floor.
And every hair
patrol.
of my body fucking just like lit up. Yeah, that was so, dude, Andy Serkis is
maximum cum power. This, I just got done talking to one of my coworkers about this who was asking me about this show. And I said, look, it's a little uneven in the beginning. And I actually used your point. I said episodes 1 and 2 could have been one episode. I said 3's great. There's like a mini arc on that planet with the heist and all that's really good character writing. And I said, but what they're doing right now with this look into the background and the ISB stuff with the agents stabbing each other in the back is great. And I said, there's so much great character writing and like reinforcement of why the rebels do what they do and why the Empire is so fucking corrupt and like evil. And I'm loving it.
So am I. And I think what this show, first of all, let me say this about the whole thing where throughout all of episode 9, they're like, something happened on floor 2 and like, you don't know what it is. And then at some point someone's like, something bad happened on floor 2. And then of course, like the guards come in, so you don't know yet. There's this slow little build to figuring it out. And once you find out that it was that someone was done with his term, released to another floor. And when they all found out they killed everyone, I think it's the first time in any Star Wars piece of media ever that I got like almost like the feeling, not due to the context, but like the feeling you got from watching like Speak No Evil, where you just get that like, oh, like this like sharp, like, oh, that's fucked up. Like I've never I've never watched Star Wars and thought like, oh my God, that's dark. Or that's like that was, I don't know. It's like, there was like this vacancy, like this erasure in my chest. And I was like, oh, damn. And I just don't think that I've ever.
I didn't think they would go that far.
Yeah,
in like a Disney Star Wars. Yeah, it's fucked.
But what I think this show is doing well, and I kind of have to say this about Rebels later as well, is I think that in this era is called the Dark Times. I think is like the official like label for the era where Palpatine and Vader, correct? The Dark Times.
Yeah. The Rise of the Empire.
Rise of the Empire, whatever. It's becoming my favorite time period out of all. Like there's the High Republic and, sequels and blah, blah, blah. I'm loving this in between 3 and 4, like more than anything else at this point. What Rebels does well that this does much better in a, I guess more adult, setting is show in the original movies. They're pretty much just like, trust us. The Empire is really bad. Here's some Nazi imagery and, that's it. Right. And so, of course, because
look at these goose stepping motherfuckers.
Yeah. So, of course, you're like, yeah, those are the bad guys. They're in all black or red and have scary, imposing helmets, and we have to kill them. But like these shows, Andor, Rebels, they're showing like why the Empire is so fucked up, like what they're doing, how they're subjecting people. Like people aren't eating, they're not getting the access to the, like food or like basic needs. You have the prison system, which is something designed to, the stupidest thing will get you in there and then you never get out and then you die in there. It's just making the Empire seem real, and it's making them seem, we've always been told that they're evil. And I just feel like I'm finally being like shown how fucking horrendous and fascist they are.
They make, it's a good analogy. Of course, it always comes back to fucking Hitler, but you're told. It's one thing when you're younger to find out in history class that the Nazis did this and they did that and that they're bad. And then it's another thing if you've ever, the first time you saw a picture of like a Nazi Holocaust camp that had been liberated and the way those people, how emaciated they are and the horrors that they went through. And it actually like makes me emotional to talk about it. I have like no ties to the Jewish people. It's crazy to think that evil could be, that real evil that actually happen. Like those camps are like really tough to look at, even in historical black and white photos. And I know it's fucked up because we're talking about a fucking fantasy show, but like this is the same kind of thing. It's like, they tell you how bad the Empire is, but besides like Palpatine and Vader, you don't understand what day-to-day life is like for people under that. And then we see it, and I'm like completely in love with this show.
So am I. And I'm like, I can't believe how, like, when it started off, I thought it was boring, and I'm just so glad, dude. It's been so amazing. It really is amazing. I think it's like rivaling, for a different reason. It's rivaling the esteem that I hold The Mandalorian in, like of the live action shows.
100% understand.
Yeah.
Completely different reason. It's not even resonating on the same fucking wavelength for me, but I completely understand. It's one of those things that you went, okay, this is the reason the universe has appealed to so many people for so long.
Yeah.
And if you could continue to tell stories like this, I will continue to forever be a fucking Star Wars fan. It's in some capacity.
Yeah. Speaking of, you might get a little mad at me here, but speaking of the horrors of war, just a little sneak peek for next week. I did watch All Quiet on the Western Front last night.
Oh, you did already?
I did.
Oh,
and that's all I'm going to say.
And then I got dummy high.
I thought about getting high and watching it, and I was like, a part of me was like, I feel like I owe it to all the people who died in World War I to watch this movie sober. So that's what
that's good. You get a head start on next week. It's fucking. We have a backlog building up.
That's a honker topics. Of a movie. I mean, every movie's 2.5 hours long now, but it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. But man, watch that. Good. Watch that baddie. It's good.
All right, moving on. Andor's really great. Go watch it. It's 12 episodes, so we're not even that close to the end yet. I love that we know there's a second season. I just like it because it feels like they have a very succinct story they want to tell. Can't wait to watch more of it. Tales of the Jedi. We didn't expect to review this one this week. In fact, it was in the backlog list, and then it came out, and I told Derek through our group chat, I'm breaking the fourth wall. I know you'd think we don't talk besides this one podcast. I said, look, it just came out. It features tales for Ahsoka and Count Dooku, and I'm going to watch it. If you want to watch it, it's fine. If I'm just going to watch it ahead of time, we can just save it for next week. And my man messaged me and said, I can't stop watching Tales of the Jedi. I'm going to finish it. And I said, well, fuck me. I got to catch up. I feel like I just got done talking a lot about Andor, so I'm going to let you start. I just want to say, the running joke here is that I cried everything. Andor has not made me cry because there hasn't been like crazy emotion. I felt bad for characters, and I know the Empire's evil, but those things at face value would not make me cry. Watching Dooku tell a story about bringing a young Qui-Gon who grew up on Coruscant to a tree in the Jedi Temple because he'd never seen them before and would just like stare at it in wonder. And then realizing that this took place after episode 1, when Dooku was still a Jedi and had returned to Coruscant for his funeral, brought me to tears within 15 seconds. When I realized what was happening, I was like sobbing. Like I remember I was watching it downstairs. Samantha and Grayson were down there. He was on his iPad. She was playing a game or something. And I was just like, I'm bogarting the TV then. I'm going to burn through these episodes. And I literally paused it and I went, oh no.
Yeah.
And Sam was like, what? I was like, I didn't expect this to happen. And I'm like welling up thinking about it. Love the whole series.
Yeah. I think that it brought much more depth to a character that I think always deserved it. I always liked Count Dooku because he was more of like a political extremist.
I mean, Christopher Lee is
anyway. Of course, in everything he has ever done.
R.I.P.
Always more of like came across to me as like a political extremist than like a Sith Lord evil. Like he just had like his own idea about why things should be happening differently.
And it turns out you were right.
So this is and I know I had messaged you and I had said something like, it's insane to me that the kids show guy Filoni like has a greater understanding of bringing depth and tragedy to the universe than like the live action movies and a lot of the live action shows. Like, like a much better understanding. Not like, oh wow, he's a little better. Like significantly, what he added to Dooku is like, it just makes him an immensely more special character to me. So the first episode that they feature with him is when him and Qui-Gon are down in that fucked up planet that the Empire has, or not the Empire. This is the Senate has like some senator that's like in charge of that planet
Loved it.
like abandoned it, and they're all starving, and it's like a shithole. It's like a complete swampy wasteland.
And this is during the Republic. This is not during the war.
Yeah, and so Qui-Gon is Dooku's Padawan, and basically this senator shows up, and he's like, "I won't just kill them. I'll kill everyone. Whatever." And
basically, I rule this planet. Go fuck yourself.
yeah, and Dooku, like you see that, like fuck you, like appear in his eyes.
Fuck the system. If this is the way it's run, fuck the whole thing.
And you agree with him. Like it's like, yeah, fuck that guy. And he starts to force choke him. Qui-Gon runs after him. He fucking doesn't even look. He just force pushes him away. Like, stay the fuck out of this. Like, he's just so mad that someone so evil could exist. And then really the episode between him and Master Yaddle, that's where I cried.
Bro.
Because first of all, I had just never really, like, I don't know. I didn't even know Yaddle was a fucking female. I had no idea.
let me introduce you to the Filoni shakeup, where he takes a little silly character introduced in canon and makes them an amazingly fleshed out, wonderful thing to watch.
Dude, that whole scene, not just the fight, not just the action of it, but the sweeping music was incredible. When when she raises the fucking thing one last time to let the light in, like
so
like the dawn coming through, the light shining on him for the last time, so fucking good. And then
hairs on my dick stood up.
But like honestly, when it's so weird. The duality of this is what makes me appreciate it so much. She lands in, she says like, it's not too late or whatever, and he says like, I'll spare you from having to see what I'm about to become, and then kills her. And it's like two things happen. You realize, Dooku, like, first of all, you saw the pain. When he first crushed her in the thing and thought he killed her, he, like, collapses. Like, his old friend, he just had to kill for his new belief, his new extremism. And so, like, two things happen when she comes back in and he kills her. You're like, wow, you've gone to the dark side now. Like, you've really fallen. You're too far gone. But a piece of, at least for me anyway, simultaneously, while knowing he's a piece of shit, I like respected him more because he has this vision where like things are fucked up, people are suffering, and if the cost of a greater amount of people being in better situations is that there's a little bit extra suffering for a little while, then that's what it takes. And I'm gonna be the one that starts that off by killing someone who means a lot to me, like by getting her out of my way. I don't know, like. I'm not saying he's a good guy deep down when you think about it. I'm just saying like there's a duality there. Like it was his dissent, but at the same time, I'm like, I fucking respect. I can't help but respect that commitment to. He just doesn't come across as a Sith. He's just like shit has to change, and it was incredible. I don't know what else to say. I think the Ahsoka episodes probably meant more to you than they meant to me. I by no means did I think that they were bad. They were very good.
Goodness.
But the Dooku ones were like just insurpassable. I was like in complete awe. I was like, let me put on one episode of this, and I think I watched up to that Dooku episode, and then that night I watched the final two because I just had to finish it.
Yeah. Incredible show. You touched on most of the super, super well written, juicy Dooku bits, so I won't rehash them, but I loved weaving through time to touch base with him at these pivotal moments where his views were challenged, and he came through the same person, I think, in his own mind. He's like, these are my beliefs, but he was changing. And the way that they weaved all that together was so great that, they told you he was a Jedi in the movie, and then he became a apprentice of the new Sith Lord, and honestly, most of us, it was a couple throwaway lines about a character who cares. He's the guy with the red lightsaber this time, and it's something that they have done so well in fleshing out this universe. Is not only did they tell us why, but they showed us these real situations where you empathize with him because he's not wrong in some situations. He might just go about it in a way that we don't agree with.
Yeah,
and it was so incredibly wonderful. And then of course the Ahsoka stuff, and I know that you're in the middle of a binge that I want to talk about before we go off air, which doesn't make sense, but I mean, sure, podcasts were born from radio, you get the idea. And I messaged you a little bit, and I said holy shit, I mean, they basically, there's already so much good backstory stuff between Anakin and Ahsoka in the Clone Wars is fleshed out, and in some Rebels flashbacks and things. But this is so good because they show her a little bit as a young, brash Padawan who's overconfident in her skills, and the training. The thing about her birth was just fun and interesting to me. How she was discovered to be a Jedi. But then they moved to her with the training thing, and he's pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. And Anakin was widely considered to be one of like the best duelists in the Republic at the time, at the height of the war. And you know, having her practice and practice and practice, and basically training her to be able to survive Order 66. Mm-hmm. And then they did what I didn't think they would do. I thought they would reference maybe, or have like a little nod to, but they full on show what I don't think was a recreation. It might have actually been a clip from the Rebels episode that shows how she survived, or sorry, the Clone Wars episode that shows how she survived Order 66.
Oh, I must have missed that. And
it is
if I could request that you, because I think I might watch the Clone Wars now. So if we could pass over that. I don't know. I must have missed that, or maybe it just meant nothing to me because I don't know what it was referencing.
There's just a really quick scene, and it doesn't spoil anything for the actual episode. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a shot from that episode where she is with Commander Cody in an elevator at the end, and he's like, "Are you ready?"
Oh, and yeah. Okay, yeah. I did see that. Yeah, I didn't understand that. Yeah.
The door opens, and there's a hangar full of Clone Wars soldiers. Dude, I feel I just got hit with emotions. I can't tell you without spoiling something, but those troopers in that hangar, they mean a lot to her throughout history. And obviously Order 66 has happened, so you can imagine what happens. But like that episode where she survived 66 is really, really great. And like I would say, like, if you're watching Clone Wars and stuff like that, to get a more full picture of her backstory, that's like one of the seminal episodes. She also has a fucking super rad duel with Darth Maul at one point. It's like incredible. But anyway, that's all I got for Tales of the Jedi. Please go watch it. I thought it was going to be like if you want to, optional viewing. And I would honestly say that if like you're a Star Wars fan and you don't watch it, you're like missing out severely.
You really are though. Like, and it's like these things like that is what sort of like initiated the spark that made me go like, I'm finally going to watch Rebels. I've been hearing about Rebels forever. And Rebels, you're right. Like you kind of warned me, and I'm glad you did sort of like prep me for it. It's still a kids show, and there's kiddie 100%. Shit, and there's like goofy kids show shit in it. Yeah. But it's, I can't describe it. It's like, I've been a jaded Star Wars fan for a long time, like a lot of Star Wars fans. A jaded Star Wars fan. I feel like they've like missed the tone, or they've missed the mark or something. Sometimes they hit it, but overwhelmingly, I just think it just doesn't feel the way it felt when I was a kid anymore, even with the prequels, original trilogy.
First time.
But like, I get that again with Rebels. I got that with Tales of the Jedi. I'm getting it with Rebels. Like, and I don't know what it is. I can't like quantify it. I can't say it's this thing that makes me feel that way again, but it just has it. And I am loving Rebels so far. I'm like 3 episodes into season 2. My whole thing was, I was originally not going to tell you that I even started watching it. I wanted to surprise you on the episode and be like, I'm done. I've watched the whole season, but it's so good. I couldn't not tell you. And I think I texted you like 3 or 4 times. Like, this show is so fucking good. So I just couldn't hold it in. Like, there's just what it does well is it create, I'm a sucker for hype moments, like moments where it's just like the showdown, or like, you know, like the Sith and the Jedi draw their blade, and and it does those so immensely well. Even like in episode 2 or 3 when Zeb like comes across Callus, who like put out the order to kill his people or whatever, and he pulls out his fucking whatever that staff is called that has like the electricity on the ends of it, and he says like, "For the honor guard," or whatever, as I was like, oh my god, like just so like just like rallied by it. And then there's the I sent you the gif of it, the end of towards the end of the last episode of season 1, sorry. And it's what is his name? Is it just Grand Inquisitor? Like, does he have a name?
He's just the Grand Inquisitor.
Just Grand Inquisitor. And then Kanan, who's like becoming my favorite Jedi of all time. Like, he's incredible. I love him because he has that whole like Cal Kestis thing where like he's not a complete Jedi. Like, he never finished his shit. And so he's like sort of as much of a student as Ezra is, almost. Like he's just still learning and navigating his way.
I don't know if they've done that in this show yet for you, but that's like a point of content. Like he's like, look, I never finished my training.
They didn't say it directly. They have extremely heavily insinuated it, but but he hasn't actually said like I never finished and I'm just like. But I can see that that's what they're building towards. But he thinks that the Grand Inquisitor kills Ezra, and so he like force pulls his lightsaber over and like pulls both of them out. They have this awesome fight. I'm like, this is Star Wars. Like this is what had me on the edge of my seat in the movie theater, like the Darth Maul fight when I was fucking 10 years old. Like this is what made me like crawl up 2 feet away from the TV when I was fucking 8 years old watching Return of the Jedi, and Luke refused to fight Darth Vader. Like this is Star Wars. This is what it's been my whole life. It's been missing for years, and like I'm experiencing it again. I'm like feeling it again. It's just awesome. And I did tell you, like, once I got to the end of season 1, where like Ahsoka, I see now that she's a very central character. I thought, well, maybe I should watch all of Clone Wars before I watch season 2. I decided against that because I know that I've tried Clone Wars twice now and failed. And even though I have this newfound thing where I'm like, oh shit, there really is good stuff in here. I know for a fact that I like Rebels. I don't know for a fact that I would stick with Clone. So I'm going to finish Rebels. And if I still, am interested to see what happens in Clone Wars, I'm going to just go back and watch it.
Well, I've told you this before. There's like, you could literally look up lists of like, what are the important Clone Wars episodes to watch.
I did that last time. And I know this sounds stupid. Like it felt like work.
Oh, we talked about it.
It felt like work. Like it was just like, oh, oops. I watched half of episode 6. Let me turn it off because I was supposed to skip 4 episodes. I honestly think I would just watch it. If I gave it another shot, just every episode, even the filler ones.
Do it. Fuck it. If you decide to play God of War Ragnarok this week, well, no, sorry, you're still watching Rebels. I mean, Clone Wars can be the thing. I think it's slightly less geared towards small children than Rebels. There's a slightly more matured about it, especially towards the later seasons of Clone Wars. But there's still a thing where Clone Wars was not serialized, so the episodes jump around. And there are like a series of like 3 episodes that might tell a big story, but they also like each episode can also be like its own standalone story. And some of them are just goofy one-off morality tales for Saturday morning cartoons, And it's the same thing with Rebels. I was able to, much in the way you are, which is making me extremely happy, look past some of that because as a Star Wars fan, I could see that there is a lot of good material buried in here, and not even buried, like not a lot of it's right on the surface, but like, you know what I mean? Like there's like the sheen of a kid show over top of some really well-written characters. And, I think Clone Wars can be tough to watch in that respect, mostly for me, because I glean more towards a serialized show, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things happen in a row, as opposed to like, well, this one's Anakin and Obi-Wan. This one's Yoda doing a thing. It tends to jump around in Clone Wars, but there are some awesome characters introduced in Clone Wars, fleshed out in Clone Wars. Some of my favorite Star Wars animated episodes of anything are in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So, I'm really stoked that you're watching Rebels, and I look forward to more holy shit, Rebels is so good moments, so then I can go, what part are you at? So I can live in this moment with you.
Yeah.
And commiserate.
You know what you should do? Because you, I know you've seen it, but I imagine it's been at least a little while. You should watch that last episode of season 1.
I did.
Oh, dude.
Later that day after you said it to me, I have to rewatch it.
Dude.
And that's what I did when I got high. I watched.
It's a great show to watch high too. That's the other great thing about it. No, dude, I love it. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I finally did it. But
me too.
I guess that's it. I think.
We're done. We're gonna wrap it up.
Done.
I wanted to make this one episode shorter, and it's not.
It's not at all.
One day we'll get back to 90-minute episodes. Yeah. We'll try. Hey, we had good stuff to talk about. I can't hold it down.
And we missed a week. I mean, it's bound.
We did. Happen. We knew it was going to be a longer episode because we missed a week. But hopefully we'll try to keep it sub 2 hours next week. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD, which is DRGLOOMMD. Twitch, we're doing obviously the Cynical stream on Saturdays, 9-ish Eastern time. I do actually think I'm going to start streaming again, like once or twice a week, like nothing crazy. I've had a good time with it, which, why the fuck not? But primarily for the Cynical stream on Saturdays, which have been a really, really good time so far. So, and I'm sure they'll continue to be. I was thinking we should probably, actually, I think this was your idea, and I'm just remembering it as if it was mine. For the next game, do like a poll on Twitter or something. Yeah,
I've actually put in the description of the YouTube videos that no one reads that the next game will be decided by folks. So we'll start putting polls out just to get the feelers out early. I actually forgot to check email this week, mostly because there almost never is any. So hey, if you want to email us, questions@thecynicalnerd.com. If you want to tweet at us, you can do that. We'll get back to you on the next follow-up episode if we can. I'll check the email for next week just to double check we don't have any nuggets in there. And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at TCN Plays. I'm really only doing the Cynical stream right now, Saturdays. The first week we did 8 p.m., which I'm okay with 8 p.m.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll aim for that, and then come what may. I think we started at 9 last week and then just did it a little later.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think we did it at 8 the week before and stopped a little early. So ipso facto, 2-hour videos on YouTube take forever to fucking upload.
Right.
That's where I'm at. Well, actually, take forever to process in HQ, but that's going to wrap it up. Episode 85, The Lesser Hemsworth. We just have to think of a good thumbnail, which we'll talk about momentarily. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you then.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.